future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Time travel past fresco, let's go. Miz, we don't play, expand, labyrinth, pinhead, boxed in, Tetris blow, tie sticks, scanners explode, mental bits into blitz, dark eclipse from cyclopeans, shadow hand rock, victim's cradle, sacrifice Judah, kiss from the navel, sign up the time, COVID-19 can't stop teen shot of universal mind, we are divers, our past be stone and lava, on Easter Island, built by Ramorhos, Elohim incarnate, Jacob the powers, desperado, past tense sentences for the future already written. From the profane, it was hitting like a hand unseen, trying to dose with vaccines. Hebrew war machines, arts degree and infinity, divine being who I be. Prince Shar Lan'Diin, the mighty Hebrew, give you the spark. Those that bark without bite, we all rustle your heart. From the slums of Honey Park, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Prince Shar Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. HP, I was born, watching storms, down laymen and marching uniforms, sleeping without form. She clothes where wars born, dancing in the moonlight, grinning. Scene was grim, body tense from meditated strength within. Cosmic spoons bent to the wind from will. Blacksmith, endless, I mastered the balance. Yuga to the Buddha, blowing the blessed to medulla. Reaching the oscillated world, iron soft, the endless. Stay focused, toasting the host. We from coast to coast, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Prince Shar Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Here we come, Tanzania. Yeah. 2021 and beyond. Mind, mental is never destroyed. Shalom Bahashem Yahweh Kodesh Yisrael. This the tribal minister, Prince Shar Lan'Diin, Ben Ami Montezariam, Ben Yasha Allah Senior, the mighty Hebrew. I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake all over the planet Earth. I say into the family, Shalom Aleichem. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here this morning, Israel Live, coming out of Tanzania. I know in the United States, perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? That right there is the introduction to my new podcast called Visions from the Mind, which was inspired by the new and upcoming album coming out in September, Mind Mental is Never Destroyed. Y'all heard the intro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all heard the intro of Mind Mental is Never Destroyed, which is called Visions from the Mind. That one was called Back to the Future. The world premiere to that song is other stuff to it. It's going to be premiered on Zion Lexx's podcast. This right here is the intro actually to my also to my podcast, because my podcast naturally is going to have more of a interdimensional like type vibe. You know what I mean? So you know the song had to go, which was inspired by the movie Back to the Future. You know, I was born in 1976. So, you know, I'm inspired by, you know, like that late 70s, 80s hip hop, then going into the early and mid 90s. You know what I mean? Once like damn near the end of you know, the 90s, it was like you started to see hip hop take another turn. You know what I'm saying? So cats my age that was born in the 70s, in 60s and 70s, they know like, okay, you know, this dude, he's spitting some real hip hop. I'm gonna play it one more time and then start the presentation. I would like for y'all to invite as many people as y'all can. Like I said, I really supposed to be live on my podcast, but I'm working on it. Something had happened. So I'm working on it, some technical difficulties. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the podcast here on Facebook. And then later on, I'm going to show it live on YouTube. I'm going to download it from here and then show it live on YouTube. But right now, we're building on casting down, you know, the great religious international conspiracy because it's a deception. But before then, because I see a whole lot of people on here, yo, what's up with you, Aliyah? You know what I mean? That's my homie right there. We go back, Detroit's finest. Yeah, I'm going to give y'all a treat because y'all know that the album was a little delayed, you know what I'm saying, into September because of the repatriation, which, you know, it's all good. And then I got to like, you know, close it all out and Dar es Salaam with Yoad, brother Yoad, you know, because I want to drop this Tanzanian song on the album. That's going to be like a bonus track because the album is already done. So I want to put a little quick bonus track on there with some Tanzanian artists and myself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to, you know, Yoad for connecting me, you know what I mean, on levels like that here in Tanzania. Brilliant MC, brilliant producer, songwriter, as well as, you know, banging ass beat maker. Give a shout out to Lord Melchizedek. Lord Melchizedek is the one that did this song we about to hear, Back to the Future. Yo, Aliyah, tell me what you think. Hallelujah. Hebrew Israelite Sovereign Nationalism rising worldwide. After this song go off, then the presentation. Let's get it. Back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Time travel past fresco, let's go. Miz, we don't play, expand, labyrinth, pinhead, boxed in, Tetris blow, tie sticks, scanners explode, mental bits into blitz, dark eclipse from cyclopeans, shadow hand rock, Jacob's cradle, sacrifice Judah, kiss from the navel, sign up the time, COVID-9 can't stop teen shot of universal mind, we are divers, our past be stone and lava, on Easter Island, built by Remorhos, Elohim incarnate, Jacob the powers, desperado, past tense sentences for the future already written, from the profane, it was hitting like a hand unseen, trying to dose with vaccines. Hebrew war machines, arts degree in infinity, divine being who I be. Prince Lan'Diin, the mighty Hebrew, give you the spark. Those that bark without bite, we all rustle your heart. From the slums of Honey Park, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Prince Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. HP, I was born, watching storms, down laymen and marching uniforms, leaving without form. She clothes where was born, dancing in the moonlight, grinning. Scene was grim, body tense from meditated strength within. Cosmic swoons bent to the wind from real blacksmith. Endless, I mastered the balance. Yuga to the Buddha, blowing the blessed to Medulla. Reaching the isolated world, I and soft, the endless. Stay focused, toasting the host. We from coast to coast, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, 9 ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Here we come, Tanzania. Yeah. 2021 and beyond. Mind, mental is never destroyed. Shalom Bahasham Yahweh HaKodesh Yisrael. This is the tribal minister, Prince Lan'Diin, Ben Ami, Martazar Yamben, Yasha Allah Senior, the mighty Hebrew. I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake. I say unto the family, Shalom Aleichem. So, let's get straight to the point. What is this great or casting down this great international religious conspiracy? First and foremost, I want to give honor to where honor is due. That term, the great international religious conspiracy, was a term that was coined by the late, great Chancellor and Dean, original Dean of the School of the Prophets Institute, the late Dr. Prince Shaliach Ben Yehuda. And one of the things that the great doctor, may he rest in completeness, what he specialized in was to align and attach the understanding of the great religious conspiracy by the way of historical narrative and marking it and aligning it with the prognostications outlined within the curses of Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28. There is definitely a religious conspiracy or an international religious conspiracy going on. Now, one might say, well, mighty Hebrew, what is this international religious conspiracy that you're talking about? The international religious conspiracy is talking about Western liberal democracy. One of the main concerns that I have with so-called African Americans and so-called Afro-Latinos and so-called West Indian Negroes is this. The problem that I'm having is your disassociation with the spiritual realm of existence. Our reality through the diaspora has always been predicated on having the power of the multiverse in our midst at all times. The original, rootless, ancient one that permeates throughout the existence of existence. Let's get to the point. I would like to first start at Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 20, verse 4, because we have to now return back into the mind state. That Torah constitution must be the foundational point of discussion within all social and subject matters. One of the main problems that we're having in Israel is to redefine time and space so history no more defines our manifestation. Yeah, no, turn off. Yup, turn it off. Yup, that was better. Much better. Yup. Thank you. Yup, perfect. Thank you. So, as we continue to develop in a certain mind state and a certain type of consciousness and a certain mode of behavior, then from there, you develop heaven on earth. I'm Torah only, but let's deal with facts. Even Yeshua, even Yahweh was Torah only. So as him being Torah only, in my mind, it sounds like A Torah only man would say, the kingdom of Yah is not in the clouds over here or over here, but the kingdom of Yah is within you. This is something that one that is of mysterious thought, that understood the high adaptship within the sciences of Hebrew paradigm, whether you calling it as I developed Hebrew cosmogenesis, Hebrew anthropogenesis, understanding ancient archaic Hebrew symbolisms, Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, the sovereign daughters of Zion, etc., the Tanzanian Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationals. So the mighty Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalistic research team, these are institutions of higher learning that we will constantly manifest, but this is not the end. You know what I mean? Because those after me will take it greater heights. A real teacher will always want his student to prevail and elevate the knowledge even over him. That means that you did your job as a teacher. If you have students that can never elevate and all they want to do is be a parrot based upon what the teacher said, then the teacher failed. You see, not to say that their foundation isn't there. And remember, I'm not the foundation. Yah is the foundation. I have no power, I have no might, I have no strength without the sovereign, powerful one, Yahweh. So let's go. Let's go to Shemot chapter 20, verse 4, which reads on this wise: Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Now, shalom, shalom, shalom to everybody that's watching. Salam alaikum, to everybody that's watching. Shalom alaikum. Ashe, Ashe, Jumbo, Hotep, completeness, Islam. Okay? Because those that I'm talking to must understand that the great international religious conspiracy has also penetrated y'all as well. This is not just Hebrew Israelites that are being penetrated by the evils of the world, but this is also Hebrew Israelites that have conformed to other cultural persuasions, such as the Kemetic school of thought, the Islamic school of thought, the Christian school of thought, the Buddhist school of thought, whatever the case may be. I am speaking directly to the children of Israel and also indirectly but connected to the nations of the earth, because Israel dwells within the nations of the earth. So you nations being warned. But let's talk about this graven image, because one might have the conceptualization that the great image is like a statue. Yes and no. But the dynamics in the character of the image is deeper than the physical object. We're going beyond the physical construct of an image. We're talking about mental conception, because when you start building on the realm of the Asuletic world of existence and pure will, this is where Yahweh Hayan Sof dwells within the self. We as Yisrael, we're not creating thoughts. We're receiving them by the way of mental imagery. So what is a graven image? Shemot chapter 20, verse 4 tells us, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. But where is the great? The topic is casting down the international, the great international religious conspiracy. Right now, we on my new podcast, known as, y'all know it, Visions from the Mind. Mental is never destroyed. This is my second one. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. But the reason why, as y'all go on the YouTube page, the Hebrew Hype, there's like some technical difficulties. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing this one right here. And then later on, I'm going to replay this. Okay. I'm going to replay this. Elder Quanaf, you just missed. I'm going to play it during the intermission. I need for you stick on because you got to hear this. Like when you touch ground on the continent and you already sharp as an Israelite. So then when you come and you start to touch the soil, you make it tefillah 3 times a day, 5 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, before you go to sleep. Hallelujah. Call that Shema, rise up the ark, recite the commandments of Yahweh. Your energy starts to, this is how you know we Yisrael, because you start to climb the 7 heavens of Yahweh, which is all conceptualized within the universal consciousness. Remember, mind is a condition. This is why I created the acronym MIND. Mental is never destroyed, because the mental and mind, the mind is what capitalizes or captures mental imagery, which is the graven image. See, everything we're going through, right? Let me fix my front lip. You know, the commandment tell you to wear that front lip, right? So when we talking, right? We talking a certain imagery. Religion is deeper than what we think. That's why I'm attacking Western liberal democracy, because within Western liberal democracy, you have sub-chambers that functions the whole spectrum of Western liberal democracy. You have religion. Is your religion or your belief subordinate to the God of those that have y'all captive? That's why I'm telling y'all to get the fuck up out of there, man. They have y'all in captivity based on the rituals that they're doing. Why you think they flew these obelisks and all these different edifices from Kemet, from Iraq, and they set this shit where y'all at in the United States? They did that and set them in certain areas to develop a force field based on captivity. That's why it's hard for so-called African Americans to get out, because you got those that are in power that are ritualistically murdering us over there. That's why I keep telling you that a so-called black man can never be a Mason. How, if the ritual murder, Hyman Abiff, is symbolic to the ritual murder of the black man in the Western Hemisphere? That being so, how can he be a Mason? You don't believe me? Go watch the movie Rosewood. Like a lot of them, listen, that's why Prince Hall had to take his charter. We know the history. We know. So what I'm saying is it goes deeper. So graven is a participant or vernacular of graven, right? Grave, to scope or carve. Now, the Hebrew word for debarium, Deuteronomy, is debar, which is words. So now that's built on the high conscious plane of debar, which the Greeks corrupted and Hellenized into the Greek Hellenistic idea of the logos, which their graven image was Jupiter Olympus, Kyrios / Christos, which they developed the Jesus Christ idea, not Yeshua. Some call him Yahweh Shai. Remember, Yeshua was Torah only. See, what I'm doing, my whole combativeness isn't against Yeshua. My combativeness is against those that think Yeshua wasn't Torah only, or as he was just bringing something different. No, he was reestablishing Torah. Because if we looking at him from a historical circumstance, and we have the synoptic gospels, right? But then we also have outside sources to verify the subject matter that he did exist. We have Tibetan and Buddhist records of them calling him Isa, the 17 years of missing history. We have facts, unadulterated facts that this man was over there. I'm live, y'all. I'm live. unadulterated facts, right? That this man existed. So if we dealing on the higher plane, that means that Yeshua had a more of a Hebraic understanding of the Debar, because Debar, they say it means words, but it also means thing, substance, material matter. Now let's break down the synodic, picturetic hieroglyph, because you got three symbols with the understanding ancient archaic Hebrew symbolism. You have the da, or the deleth, which is going into a doorway, right? Going into a doorway, right? Let's best break this science down. Hold on, y'all. Let me see some. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Okay. So yeah, because I'm gonna be using my computer too. So I'm gonna be showing y'all some things. Okay. So let's get into this. So let's talk about Yeshua. Let's talk about this man. Now I'm Torah only, 100%. No, I don't acknowledge how the Messianics acknowledge or what they label Messianics or a Christian or whatever. But I'm not in denial of the existence of this freedom fighter, this revolutionist, our brother, Yeshua Bar Yosef. The reason why I pronounce it like that, because at this time, Aramaic was the language of diplomacy at that time, when remnants of the southern kingdom were still left in the land of Jerusalem. So now getting back, the Greeks, they copied and mimicked it during the time of the Ptolemies, the understanding of the Greek logos. They got it from Hebrew thought. Now, cats like Garfield already know your whole understanding that the Hebrew culture is really Greek culture. This is foolishness. This is what your book is basically going to outline. This is, come on, man. The Hebrews existed way before the Greeks was even in existence. So now, if that being the case, then we need to look at the logic of Greek Hellenistic thought and create a comparative study. Because the late great Adonenu, Rabbeinu Ben Ami already analytically destroyed this with the 2-volume set, Yeshua the Hebrew Messiah or Jesus the Christian Christ, volume 1 and 2. He already bodied this. And then we can go to Elizabeth Prophet, where she bodies it in the lost years of Jesus and the lost teachings of Jesus. And we can prove that he was amongst the Hindus, the Buddhists, all of them. He went to the Far East. We have facts on this. We have scrolls of disciples from the Indus Valley that personally knew Yeshua. So we know he existed. Not only that, you can go into the British Museum and you can see the death certificate signed and written by Pontius Pilate talking about this man. So that's out the window. Us Torah Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationals, we definitely acknowledge that Yeshua existed. We definitely acknowledge that he was a Hebrew Israelite sovereign national. We definitely acknowledge that he was Torah only. But he may have viewed certain things different from those before him. Why? Because a lot of those that were before him, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, all these different cats, you know what I'm saying? They were being influenced more amongst the Babylonian concepts and understandings, right? And the Median Persia understandings, right? Whereas though you had Yeshua, he was more influenced by the Essenes, who in turn, the Essenes were influenced by ex-Brahmins known as the Yadavas. You see what I'm saying? This is the Abraham's tribe that he came from out of in the Indus Valley in upper, or also known as Southern Tamil, in the Indian subcontinent in a town known as Ur. Not Ur of Mesopotamia, Ur of Mesopotamia developed in the 7th century BCE. I'm talking about the Ur of Kasdim, Ur of the people of Arafat that dwelt in the Indian subcontinent and migrated from the east or from Kadim to a plain known as Sinar. Remember, it tells you in Genesis, the 11th chapter, that we came from Kadim, from the east. Sinar is Sumer, which today you find in modern day Iraq. So we came from somewhere else to there. What I'm saying is it's the Indus Valley. What was I, Lexx? I talked to you about that. Yup, I get to that. So the graven image. I just read, grave to sculpt or carve, engrave, to stamp or impress deeply as words or ideas. Now that right there was in the American Heritage Dictionary, 2nd edition. Now, when we look up this Hebrew word, a bar, it means abstract wise, words, things, material. But as I said, the dalaf is to go into something or as a doorway. Remember, the Hebrew language is a language of function and activity. When you look at the Strong's Concordance, when you look at the Hebrew words, they're abstract. I mean, the Hebrew definitions. In the English, it's abstract. That's why it's over 16,500 plus mistakes in the Strong's Concordance. Because Strong's was only identifying and translating how the King James Bible was translated. If, for instance, if it said Isaiah 7:14 and it had the word version there, he'll have the Hebrew word armor and he'll put version there. That's not, you can't go in the land of Israel right now and use the word armor and get a version. When you say that, you're going to be saying, oh, a young woman like in her early 20s, late teens. That's what you're going to be saying. But you have to say Batula to get that version. You see the point that I'm saying with Strong's did? So when Strong's made these errors, it caused us as Israelites, but before then as Christians, a lot of us, before we got into the Israelite culture, we was already using Strong's. So as we started to develop within the Israelite cultural paradigm, we started to bring Christian overtones with us. For instance, like using the Strong's Concordance, like believing that when you go into Song of Solomon or Song of Songs, chapter 5, verse 10, it says, for my beloved was red, what was it? Red and ruddy and all that. Automatically, Strong's took that and created this whole imagination about really the Israelites were white people, and the red or ruddiness was talking about the red blood coming from up under their skin. This is what these white supremacists were bringing to the people. But reality, Song of Song, chapter 5, verse 10, really should be translated as, for my beloved is vibrant and manly. It had nothing to do with his skin color. It only had something to do with his manly character and personality. That's it. Like when people, they're elegant speakers, they know how to talk to them. People look at them as vibrant. They're lively. They're elegant. And at the same time, if he shows this masculine character about himself, that's all the song chapter 5, verse 10 was saying. If you go into the Hebrew and look at the Hebrew words, it is talking about a vibrant and manly character. So back to the bar, you got what? The doorway. Then you got the bait or the ba, which is a house or to go within. Also family. Then you have the resh or the ra, which signifies the image of the head of a man shaken, right? Right? So in reality, the bar is one that brings forth. Because remember the doorway, like the doorway of the mind. You've seen them. They have like images of the mind and like a global image or a cosmic image in a doorway and a man walking in. Y'all see images like that. So if you're talking the bar, right? And we know it's a head shaking. The rush is a head shaking. This is, now manifestation of thought coming into reality or material matter from ascension to descent. This is what you're reading about in the first pages of Genesis. You're not reading for real literal days, but epochs as we were descending. We were time traveling and we were descending, and each day represented an epochs or a root epic that we existed. We were encased within that existence within periods of time. But then the sixth emanated cycle, or what now we call the sixth day of creation, really emanation, that final breath took on that solidified stage until you see man. But there still was a process because one polarity started dominating. This is when you get the separation of the sexes. Okay, now you get Zakar Wahaniki Va, male and female. Ha'adam don't mean man, it means the firstborn of the first blood rising with outstretched arms. So getting back to the bar, so this man's head is shaking. What? Shaking consciousness to materialize into the door or within the door. You see what I'm saying? So it is really Elohim through imagination, because remember, we don't create thoughts, we only receive them by the way of imagination. It's like going through a mental portal and materializing. So when you read in John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So who was in the beginning with Yah but Yisrael? Remember, Israel is the apple of the Most High's eye. Remember, Israel is the Elohim, but they're going to die like men. Remember, it was Israel that's the former and fashioner of all things, Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 19, right? Israel in the etheric state. When we was in that, remember, we walked on this plane before we even got physical and glorious light. That's what the book of Psalms said. Don't act like y'all don't know, because y'all do know. See, the reason why Israel was chosen to do what they do, because it was Israel's fault when we was in the state of Elohim. Remember, we were here. Remember, the 70 nations each had a guide. That was really the 70 souls of Israel. That's why when you go into Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 6 to 8, remember the Most High said when he divided the nations and he numbered them according to the number of the children of Israel, how would that be? If Israel didn't exist to Jacob and the nations were 70 nations in Genesis chapter 10. Well, the 70 nations, the 70 souls, remember the 69 souls that went into Kemet, right? Right? 1876 BCE. That's when we went in the land. Because we didn't leave until 1446 BCE. Moses was born 1526 BCE. Facts. Yeah, we left the end of the 12th dynasty. They got the Egyptian chronology fucked up. So when they want to talk about Akhenaten, like you'll read some Afrocentric scholars talking about Akhenaten toward Moses. How dumb. You got that from the boy, what's his name, that wrote Moses and Monotheism. Here come to me soon. Well, he wrote the book Moses and Monotheism. He also wrote The Jewish Conspiracy. He was one of the United States' presidents. It wasn't Roosevelt. It was it'll come to me. So getting back to the point as to what I'm saying, right? This graven image. See, Yeshua will understand exactly what I'm saying. That's why if you really look at the teachings of Yeshua and what he's saying, and you look at the teachings of Buddhism, you would see the similarities. Why? Because during the time, remember many of the Assyrian captivity, they went into exile. One of them was Boozy, Ezekiel's father. They had records. Actually, the Buddhists that say Boozy, Ezekiel's father, started Buddhism. And he was known as the Buddha. This is what, because you got to remember, they'll try to give you an image of a man in the 5th century BCE that trying to say started Buddhism, but he really didn't. He had certain Buddhic ideas, but when one understands Brahmanism and the avatars and these incarnations within different yuga cycles, then they'll understand that Buddha always existed. in the sense of being an enlightened one. You understand what I'm saying? Buddha is an eternal idea, right? Right. When you talk about the images of Buddha, what I'm saying is like in these incarnate forms, right? That's really what you would call the state of Maya, which they say in Hindu or Sanskrit, the world of illusion, because we know that the idea, and when you start looking at Yeshua and how he seen himself, as that idea anointed, you can see the Buddhic principles there. Like, certain little sayings that he said that were esoteric and weren't always to be taken literal. So this graven image, Yeshua understood the concept of material substance coming from the the subjective realm or the azulated world. Yeshua had great understanding of this because remember, he had a Essene understanding. And from the record, it says that the Essenes sent Yeshua to the Far East. Another thing that gives it away is Bereshit of Genesis chapter 25, verse 1 to 4. And it shows that the other concubines that Abraham had went to the Far East. Also, if you go into, I believe, is Isaiah the 29th chapter, and you go to Shanim, talking about how the Israelites would go to Shaim. Shaim is another name for China. But see, the Far East, as we know today, wasn't the same yesterday. A lot of them that inhabit them areas today are Mongols that came from the Gobi Desert and from Siberia, and they started to conquer them areas. Shanim, Pan, which later became Japan. Why? Or Japan, because a lot of the Japhetic tribes lived in Japan. Japan. Okay, we'll get there. It'll come. You remember their Aryan root epic. Remember, there was a process. The colorations come later. At one time, we were all melanated. There were certain melanated people that looked blue in color. But them species, they don't exist no more. They're in us by the way of ghost gene, but they don't exist no more. So getting back, like he said, word equals speaker. And remember, your words come from thought. But remember, them thoughts are not really created, but they was only mental images that was snapped within your mind to bring this out. So in this book I have here, The African Edenic Heritage, Dr. Sar Ahmadi bin Yahuda said, upon hearing graven images, right? Most of us would envision statues and the like. However, the above definition clearly convey a much broader meaning in which the multitude of imagery depicting biblical characters as being white and even in European settings is easily classified as graven. The widespread use of these images, along with the implementation, right, of European standards propagated by institutions of learning, government, media, has contributed to the whole world being deceived. That's why on my new single, I got Ben Ami in the very beginning. Has deceived the whole world, right? This is deeper. See, if one understands the true origin of logos going back to the Debar, when they understand it, we can transform it like this. In the beginning was Yisrael, and Yisrael was with Yah, and Yisrael was God or Elohim. In the beginning was the word Israel. We the apple of the Most High Eye. We the one that formed and fashioned existence. We are the Elohim. We are the extraterrestrials, so to say. We are the Elohim. You see what I'm saying? And we failed our mission by letting the nations of the earth create images of us and they start worshiping us, but in various names. Why you think when you go to these ancient Eastern paradigms, they're all in pantheons, they're all the same with different names? Because in essence, they're worshiping Israel when Israel was in the state of Elohim, or in a certain encasement that might their vibrational level may have been higher than the average person. We were more elemental in nature as we were helping the nations of the earth to develop. And sometimes we could actually, solidify more based on the mental controlment of the Debar, which became corrupted as the Logos. See, what the Logos did was cause man the demigod or stay in demigod worship of an individual, versus taking it back when the nation of Israel collectively was that. So we all had the same sovereign, uncontrollable power. Y'all with me? Yeah, follow me. See, remember, you want to walk like Yeshua, right? They said to be Christ-like. That's what they told us, right? Okay. So that being the case, when we start to study this man, he was dealing with Hebrew thought. He was Torah only. And he understood certain high sciences within our social construct. So that being the case, we will all be on the same level. There wouldn't be none greater than the other. This is what we're talking about when we banging against these camps. A lot of these camps have that curios, that logos mentality, because that shit is Greek. That's Greek. Remember, Yeshua was a Hebrew. His thought was Hebraic. See, I'm not here to destroy Yeshua. What I'm here to do is bring him into the historical framework so we can relate by the way of our senses. Because we don't want to fall into idolatry. Because remember, the nations of the earth, they also had these sacrificial saviors that we adopted. Why do you think we were sacrificing our children through the fires of Moloch? Why? Because in them customs, it was believed to sacrifice a child is to atone for the nation. These ideas were wicked and grotesque unto the creator of heaven and earth. But there was another graven image put in the Bama, or in the Shamayim, the heavens, meaning the minds of the people. This is why if I say resurrection, somebody that don't know, that's not learned, they'll think I'm talking about physical dead bodies physically coming back to life. When I'm not. I'm talking about the 3-day resurrection of the mind. Y'all read it in the New Testament literal, but what is this resurrection? In Ivrit, it's known as Takiya, the first day, a dreadful awakening, being made aware of the state of the world in decay. Day 2, being brave, establishing oneself from the unseen to the seen. 3rd day, the quickening of the Yali mind. These were adaptation stages of growth and development within the initiation system of the Essenes. When cats is reading, they're reading initiation of one becoming a god, meaning Elohim in physical form. Remember, or more or less reawakening what exists, because remember, since I say ye are Elohim and you the children of the Most High, but you shall die like man, meaning the other nations. This is why the Most High didn't want us to mix with the other nations. The more and more we mix with the other nations, the more and more we became man. Come on. Remember, we're Elohim. We're not the nations of the earth. Israel, Salaki, is on another level. So let me read from M.I.N.D's book, God, the Black Man and Truth, on page 22 and 23. It reads on this wise. Before you could read, you opened the Bible. And from the pictures you received, your first impression of God and angels. And you have never forgotten what you saw. You saw pictures of a European Jesus on the cross. A European Jesus carrying the cross. Pictures of angels in negligees with wings on their backs. You saw many other pictures of Europeans being cast in the surroundings of the set-apart lands. They kept those pictures, or better yet, thoughts, before you all of your life, everywhere you went, in every home, and on almost every wall of your church. Why is it that the problem of race only enters the picture when we began discussing positive black images like you ancient watchmen? How could it be that all of these artists have had such a violent imagination of all those characters being European, but none of them, how you feeling today? Hey, yes, sir. European, but none of them have ever imaged or imagined that those African Hebrews in that African land, Israel, were black. Now you got to think about that. Now watch this. Newsweek, May 5th, 1986 says this. Michelangelo also dressed the New Testament figures in his pictures in the clothing of his own contemporaries. He took pimps, prostitutes, and street small mischievous boys into his studio to pose as sensuous, sometimes naked models for the saints. Now you got to understand, because remember, when we go into what? The 7th chapter, let's go into the book of Daniel real quick. Because we have to understand the nature of the threat. Let's start at verse 21. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints. Remember, the horn is the United States. Because remember, the 10 horns, 3 was plucked. We know the image of the man: gold, Babylon; silver, Medo Persia; bronze, Greece; iron, Rome. The 10 horns. 1 came out, plucked 3. America plucked the British. America plucked the French. And America plucked the Spanish. That's the little horn right there that's being outlined in the book of Daniel. The United States. Boom. He made war with the apart ones, falsely called saints. Remember, the term saint is Greek. That's Catholic shit. Bang, that's not even in the Ivrit. We ain't saints. We apart ones. And prevail. Now, that's not to attack some of our Hebrew Israelite family that might use the term saint in the kingdom of Yah and Damona. Remember, they were the old timers that brought that, the late Ben-Ami, my grandfather, Prince Asiel, many of them. But as we develop, our leaders would never want us to stay stuck. They would want us to elevate. Okay. Now, they may have used that word, but they had the Hebraic understanding of set apart one. So let's get back. So boom, made war with the set apart, or better yet, apart one, because even the word set is a Kemetic word. This is when they talk about the setting of the, or the so-called setting of the sun. And then you get Set, the demon or the force of the underworld in Kemetic thought. Back to where I'm at. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the apart ones and prevailed against them. That aligns with Daniel chapter 8:12. Boom, until the Ancient of Days came. The Ancient of Days is the law, statutes, and commandments. Those that had the power of Shiloh. Remember, in the book Genesis chapter 49, verse 10 to 12, when you're reading about Shiloh, That's a mistranslation in the King James Version. When it's talking about Shiloh, it's only talking about it's his, meaning his right. If I say Shami She Shafar, whose book is that? I would say Shiloh, it's mine. So all the kings of Israel had the embodiment and power of Shiloh to define the law, statutes, and commandments within each nation, within each dispensation of time based on the social condition of our people. The Torah was never meant just to be the same, or the understanding wasn't meant to be the same in every generation. The foundation the same, yes, meaning the law, statutes, and commandments, but we can elevate, because remember the Torah say choose life over death. So let's say hypothetically, if salt is killing our people, and then like the kingdom of Yah, they come up with no salt, that's not adding or taking away from the Torah. That's attacking the issue. But we're using Torah as wisdom to give us this understanding to build this. So back to what I'm saying in the book of Daniel. So the ancient ones are those that understand the law, statutes, and commandments within each dispensation of time, and judgment, being the Torah constitution, was given to the part ones of Yahweh, right? And the time came that the part possessed the kingdom. We're in this possession right now, because remember, Daniel chapter 2, verse 44 say, during the days of these kings, that our kingdom will rise, not when the earth get destroyed, then Yeshua got to come down and then store the earth. No, Daniel 2:44 say, as these kingdoms are ruling, it's going to be a body or that Adamic image that's going to be cut without hands. That's us. We are being cut without hands. Remember the bar? You see how I'm taking you back to that identifiable factor of what the bar is? When you come into the continent of Africa, it causes another energy to take place and take shape. And you start to have a clear vision as to what you're dealing with when you're dealing in Hebrew anthropogenesis, Hebrew cosmogenesis. Understand the ancient archaic Hebrew symbolism. You're able to understand any archaic record to go back to the source of any subject matter. This is why I'm saying Yeshua did not tell the people to pray in his name, to worship him. No, he was trying to take the people back to a certain state of consciousness of them being Elohim. That was the objective of Yeshua's mission, was to show Israel, because we fell and we were dying like men. So he had to give certain parables and sayings, which was Buddhic, because remember them 17 missing years, he was in the Far East. We got historical records. We can easily prove that. They even wrote books like the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. There's different shit out there that we can prove his existence. And you can go to the Himalayas, into the Tibetan monasteries, and they got scrolls of this man. They have disciples. They call him Isa. I-S-S-A. In Arabic, they also say Isa, but they say I-S-A. And when you go over there, they call him Saint Isa, and they break down go look it up. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Go look up Saint Isa / Jesus in India and watch all of it come up, and the records and everything come up that them 17. That's why you don't hear nothing from him. You hear from him when he's 12, and then you don't hear nothing until he is a certain age, 33, something like that. You feel what I'm saying? Somewhere at that age, or a little earlier, but he died when he was 33. You see what I'm saying? He got assassinated. So let's continue on. And say, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which was Rome, which shall be diverse from the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it into pieces. So that means that Roman thought is going to be, because remember, when Rome was destroyed by the Visigoths, the Goths, the Vandals, certain black barbarian tribes, it broke into Western Europe 10 kingdoms. Everybody knows it became Germany, Spain, Portugal, Poland, right? Okay. It says, okay, verse 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, which is also aligned in Daniel 7:7. Right. Remember, to subdue the 3 kings, that was what? Britain, right? France and Spain. Come on, let's keep going, right? It goes on to say, And he shall speak great words against Yahweh, and shall wear out the apart ones of the Most High. That's talking about the so-called Negroes. They've been wearing this out. They ain't been wearing you goddamn Hispanics out. Stop lying, man. Stop lying. Y'all know you ain't been wearing y'all out. Y'all playing all these games talking about, oh man, they did this to us. They did that to us. They ain't never do nothing to y'all. Nothing to y'all. So while sister Tracy is here, I want her to I'm gonna take a little intermission because I want her to hear. I don't know how did that. I gotta see if I can find the setting area. Hold on. Oh, I got it. Because my wife, she does all this stuff. I'm telling you, without my wife, man, I'm telling you. Like, she does all this stuff here. I'm trying to see. This should be it. No. I'll find it. Okay, I spot and TV. No. I'm trying to get this speaker on real quick. But I'm about to show y'all some stuff. And I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing to be in this season where we can, let me see something. If I turn it on, it should just pop right in because it's already on. Hopefully. Yep, it did it. So this is an intermission, y'all. 3-minute intermission. This is from the new album, M.I.N.D. Mental is Never Destroyed. This right here is known Back to the Future. You know what I mean? This is the intro that comes on my live podcast known as Visions from the Mind. I pray that y'all all enjoy it. You know what I mean? So we going to get it popping. Let me see. Okay, here it is right here. Okay. Let me make sure I got this like I should. Yeah, so like I said, remember what an image is. An image is deeper than just, it's just this image, so to say. Like, this graven image. No, it's not talking about that. It's deeper than that. So let's get it. This right here, y'all listening to it first time, live and direct. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it. Back to the Future. I love it. If you don't like it, learn to love it. That's what Ric Flair said, right? Let's get it. Back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether. Before BCE, we exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Time travel past fresco, let's go. Miz, we don't play, expand, labyrinth, pinhead, boxed in, Tetris blow, tie sticks, scanners explode, mental bits into blitz, dark eclipse from cyclopeans, shadow hand rock, tickets cradle, sacrifice Judah, kiss from the navel, sign up the time, COVID-9 can't stop team shot of universal mind, we the divers, our past be stone and lava on Easter Island, built by Ramorhos, Elohim incarnate, Jacob the powers, desperado, past tense sentences for the future already written. From the profane, it was hitting like a hand unseen, trying to dose with vaccines. Hebrew, war machines, arts degree in infinity, divine being who I be. Prince Lan'Diin, the mighty Hebrew, give you the spark. Those that bark without bite, we all rustle your heart. From the slums of Honey Palm, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, CBI, 3D, Illuminati can't stop me. 9 ether, before BCE, we exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. HP, I was born watching storms, down laid men and marching uniforms, sleeping without form. She clothes where wars born, dancing in the moonlight, grinning. Scene was grim, body tense from meditated strength within. Cosmic spoons bend to the wind from will. Blacksmith, endless, I mastered the balance. Yuga to the Buddha, blowing the blessed to medulla. Reaching the isolated world, iron soft, the endless. Stay focused, toasting the host. We from coast to coast, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, CBI, 3D, Illuminati can't stop me. 9 ether, before BCE, we exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Here we come, Tanzania. Yeah, 2021 and beyond. Mind, mental is never destroyed. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yeah. This album is crazy. I'm telling you. I tell you. What did I say? Time, trouble, past, fresh go. Let's go. Miz, we don't play. Now, cats ain't even gonna catch that. There was a group called Fresco and Miz. They had that song. We don't play. See what? We don't play. I am the F to the R. So the DJ, was named Miz. Oh, sorry, I bow on deck. I'm gonna play it later one more time so we can hear it, because we got Zaquay and Sarah bow on one of the respected elders. Matter of fact, listen, Sar, we played on Zion Lexx's podcast yesterday, the 2019 Door Return, and already 3,000 people already watched it. That's crazy. It might be more. Like, y'all know me and Zion Lexx, we've been going in crazy for the last few days. Like, yo, y'all got to go watch them joints. Their history is crazy. But like I was saying in the rap, I said, Miz, we don't play, expand, labyrinth, pinhead, boxed in, Tetris, blow, tie sticks, scanners explode, mental bits into blitz. Like crazy. Like, the whole, like I said, yo, when I come out with this album, because Cass was like, Mighty Hebrew, you featuring on a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Killer Priest, Hellraiser, you done did stuff back in the day with the Roots. You know, I've done a lot of different stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I never I used to be in ciphers with Black Thought. I know Black Thought personally. Like, back in the day, they used to be called Strictly Square Roots. I was in the group known as Poetic Alliance. Originally, we were called Two's Enough. Then when we signed with Rough House Records, we wound up becoming known as Poetic Alliance. And at the time, there was like a lot of underground, different, record labels attached to major record labels. You know, you had RCA, you had all these different, record labels. And it was Too Tough from the famous rap group Tough Crew that discovered us. You know what I mean? Then we wound up becoming known as Poetic Alliance. My old rap partner is the famous battle rapper, Shellyano. Shellyano is the one that actually started on the low. He had a major part in what you know as the Smack videos with Smack and all them URL. Remember, it was a lot of, at one time, nobody, it was like, for years and years, nobody couldn't fuck with Philly when it came to battle rap. So what Shellyano and all these guys were doing, they were going from Philly to New York, Baltimore, California, Detroit, wherever you was at, Canada, Germany, whatever. And they was just battling people all over the world. You had Sheliano, he created a group of them. So it was Reed Dollars, just that whole kaboom, E-Ness, all these different, Hollow Man, just all these different rappers were coming together and they was battling cats in New York. They was battling people like Murder Mook, all these different cats. So my old rap partner is actually one of the major responsibilities of what you see URL today. That's a historical fact. Anybody that remember our group, remember it was me, Sheliano was Big Shell, I was Universal Thoughts, or UCK. You know what I'm saying? I mean, excuse me, not UCK, excuse me. I was Universal Thoughts / ECK, East Coast Killer. That was my original name was East Coast Killer. But as I started to develop more, you know what I'm saying? Before I was even Israel, I was like on like close to these this enlightened mission. I'm reading Miseducation of a Nigga. This one I was in the drug game, all that. So I changed my name from East Coast Killer. And remember, I used to rap heavy around like Black Thought. I used to be with the Goats. I used to be with Affiliation. I used to be with Bahamadia. So they was on the like conscious type of vibe rap. So I developed from East Coast Killer to Universal Thought. Now at the time, all of us was known as Flying Objects. You had the bull Guru from Gangstar. May rest in peace, he started looking at Philly. So we used to be at places like the Black Lily, the Trocadero, places like that. And we will open up shows. Like I done opened up shows for literally on Yahweh. I opened up shows for Master Ace. Quiet, I'm on live. Master Ace, Onyx, Daz Effects. Who else did I open up for? Redman, K Solo. I opened up for Tough Crew. I opened up for quite a few celebs back in the day. I was like an up and coming rapper. But when I got booked, when I was a young son, that's what stopped everything. Sheliano became solo. Sheliano, he was about to make it. He was on 106 in Park. He was battling these different people and he got disqualified. Like he was the iron horse for the source at one time. Like it's all true, but myself, when I took that L, I took that fall and I did that time, you know what I'm saying? It changed my life, but for the better. And y'all see where I'm at. So back to where I'm at. So we want to go to J.A. Rogers, Section Race, Volume 1, page 91. European painters and sculptors, by their use of white models to typify biblical characters, have falsified the physical anatomy of the ancient Jews. Now you got to hear this. Now, let me show y'all. Y'all see how y'all see all these Greek sculptures and these Roman, you go to the Colosseum, you see these Kemetic cyclopean structures. You go to Afghanistan, you see the cyclopean structures of the 7 root epics, but they blew them all up. And you would notice it gets smaller and smaller because it was different root epics that came. That's what my whole point is. In ancient times, the ancients believed that they can put spiritual energy of a dead person within a cyclopean structure or a tomb. And you would come each time you would see them in a state of mourning with food They believe that the spirit existed within the sculpture. This is why, or the tomb, because really entombment was cultural understanding by the way of encrypting the spirit, right? Now, us, that's why when they would mummify, they would, you know what I mean, preserve the body, because they felt as though if, you know, the ka would permeate the ba, then it would resurrect their body. This is what they believe. And it could possibly be some truth to it when we understand how the brain was functioning, let's say 1.2 million BCE. We still had certain brain power, and we was still dealing with certain forms of elementals in that Pacific root epoch. We dwindle in power by the way of materialization. The more material we became, the more encased we became. Now we're earthbound trapped as man. But now we in the stage in development of recontrolling the debar, recontrolling by dealing with the power to define. Because right now, remember, they have the spiritual magnet charter to do what? To control time and space. And when you control time and space by mathematical equations, now you control life. They can find a bone, put a date on it, a lineal understanding. I thought the people from the East were circular, but you're giving us lineal history. This is what I'm saying, where the contradictions lie sore at when we deal with these people that don't really understand the in-depthness of what they're working with. Everything to them is physical, but they can never answer the question, why in Tanzania they're finding giant footprints, solidified going back over 1 million years ago. How is that? Answer these questions. Answer these questions that they're finding tools going back over 2 million years. But you say you want us to believe we are a new species going back no more than 150,000 years ago. Homo sapiens sapien. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? All these different sapiens and all these different like Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, Homo erectus, Neanderthalians, Cro-Magnus, Java, man. All these are products of hybriding with different species. It's real simple, man. That's not hard to believe or to deal with. It's just the facts. Now, let's continue on. Let's go into, I want to get into this book called The Middle Ages Revisited on page 10 by Alexander D. Marr. Now, listen to this statement. The hereditary version of Roman history will be found protected by formidable defenses. Not merely literature, but the fine arts have been largely employed in its support. So you got to understand, if you notice, these sculptures captivate somebody when they look at them. Why you think when you deal with these Greek fraternal orders and those that are so-called enlightened, they become stimulated by Greek thought, Roman thought. This is why they want to you send your child to Paris, France, to go to these museums and the Louvre museums, and because you think that's like, you know, you succeeded, you have achieved the apex of physical reality. That's what your mind has projected itself to believe, like you have transcended boundaries because you have treaded thousands of miles of hot Arabian sand. And you assume because your physical has so deeply encased the spiritual that you can't see anything besides what is tangible with the two visions. And that's been the problem. That's been the misdirection, the misguidance of our people. Our people think and imagine their freedom so mythically, in the sense of not myth as a true story that has allegory. No. But a fantasy that you can't touch, taste, smell, hear, nor see. These are problems within the Hebrew Israelite nation that we have to eliminate within our communities. If not, then we're going to have major cataclysms within our communities, man, all over the world. We have to get out of this demigod worship. We have to destroy the image with another image. Y'all hear me? You have to destroy a God, you got to be a God. But on your own terms. You have to now take full control of yourself to receive from Yahweh. And so the ideas of heaven on earth, or the heavens on earth. Because if not, Israel, you're going to self-destruct. It is time to return back to the image of Torah. So the manifestation of Torah can be seen in each and every one of us. Where we can self-govern ourselves individually, communally, nationalistically, collectively. That is where we want to take Israel at in this season. We don't want to take Israel into the realm of delusions and illusions. They need to know the hard truth and to face full responsibility of their own captivity. And when they do that and stop giving all their energy to the devil, to the so-called white man, that demon has no power over you. None. The only power is what you give. If you give yourself over to the powers that be, then they already got you. You already lost the battle. Don't let nobody tell you not to leave from the confines of the wicked ones of the earth. Don't be afraid to leave from America. I did it. Look at me. I did it. Self-mastery. This is why I developed Hebrew cosmogenesis, Hebrew anthropogenesis. Understand the ancient archaic, because I wanted y'all to break the code or crack the code of yourselves. See, y'all not ready for stuff like this. Let me show you something. Y'all not ready for this. This right here is the Stinzar, the mystery of the mystery language. I ain't ready for this, man. This right here, this is a higher level. This is a whole nother higher plane. This breaks down Hebrew within which they're saying Hebrew is the language of light. In Sanskrit, they call it Sinzar, or Tibetan, they call it Sinzar. But in the ancient Hebrew, or the sound of the sonatic, it would be Sinzar. And or the base of the Hebrew would be what is known as Sinzar, which you have the base, and then you have the development from the base and from the surroundings around them. Like when people be arguing about, oh man, I got the original Hebrew dialect, I laugh, because you automatically supposed to have different dialects. Just like a Mexican and a Puerto Rican, they both speak Spanish, but they got different dialects. Come on, man.
Stop being stupid, Israel. Stop arguing about who speak the right Hebrew, the wrong Hebrew. No, what you need to do is get into the vibration. Y'all keep taking Zephaniah, talking about chapter 3, verse 10. Y'all keep taking that as the pure language being something you vocally speak. Could not the pure language be what functions in the mind, which is Torah Constitution? That's the pure language. Because whatever language you speak is the thought that is projecting. You know what I mean? Now, remember, history don't define you. You define these things. We got to get out of the idea that we have to be subservient to conditions. It's not changing the law. It's to elevate Torah, not to be stuck, not to be in the dark ages. Stop treating them sisters like they not on equal ground. They on equal ground, but our responsibility is different. But both sides of responsibility is shared collectively, which is in the Elohim mind or the Yah mind. No, a woman cannot be a man. That's clear. No, a man cannot be a woman. That's clear. All this, you trying to subjugate the woman to a slave? Y'all niggas is crazy, man. Just like you sisters out there, man. Stop acting like y'all down with polygyny, but y'all really not. Or stop trying to control the man all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Or stop trying to, and I'm not coming at anybody, I'm just speaking in general, because a lot of us, we experienced these things before in the past. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, sisters, you have to be pure and sincere about who you walk. First, you married to the Creator. Once you understand that, then you ain't got to worry about the Most High sending you a man, because he gonna send, if she's a Yali woman, a Yali man. I thank Yah every day for my wife. I swear to Yah. And as y'all know, my Isha pregnant again. Yeah. Hallelujah. My Isha's pregnant again. I'm so happy. You know what I mean? I got a feeling it's going to be a girl. My baby going to be free, born in Africa. Look at this stride. Look at what we doing. Look at what we doing. You know what I mean? We want to go anywhere. We just ride something like this in our front yard. We ride either one of them. You know what I mean? That's how we do that. That's what I'm saying, man. We loving life. Yeah, rough, rugged, and raw. Yeah, rough, rugged, and raw. You know what that remind me of, Christina? That remind me of some EPMD. Strictly Underground Funk, Creep the Crossover. Matter of fact, you know what I mean? I'm a in and out, play some joints here and there. As a matter of fact, let me give y'all a little something. I'm gonna give y'all some Dark Low, man. Respect the Dark Low, and y'all, I got to let that play one more time. You know what I mean? Because, and then get back in the class and play some Dark Low. Let's get it.
Back to the future, back to the future.
Who I be, Elohim, Crenshaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D. Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE. We exist from now to infinity, infinity. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Time travel, cast fresh stroke, let's go. Miz, we don't play, expand, labyrinth, pinhead, boxed in, Tetris blow, tie sticks. Scanners explode, mental bits into blitz. Dark eclipse from Cyclopeans. Shadow hand, rock Jacob's cradle. Sacrifice Judah, kiss from the navel. Sign up the time.
COVID-19 can't stop Teen
A universal mind, we get divers. Our past we stone and lava. On Easter Island, built by Remorhos. Elohim incarnate, Jacob the Towers. Desperado, past tense sentences for the future already written. From the profane, it was hitting like a hand unseen, trying to dose with vaccines. Hebrew, war machines, arts degree and infinity. Divine being who I be, Prince Shah Lan'Diin, the mighty Hebrew, give you the spark. Those that bark without bite, we all rustle your heart. from the slums of Hunting Park.
Back to the future, back to the future.
Who I be, Elohim, Prince Shaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D, Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE, we exist, from now to infinity, infinity, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. I was born, watching storms, down laid men in marching uniforms, leaving without form, sheep born, brick balls born, dancing in the moonlight, grinning, scene was grim, body tense from meditative strength within, Kai makes spoons bend to the wind from will, blacksmith, endless, I mastered the balance, Yuga to the Buddha, blowing the blessed to medulla, reaching the Azuletic world, I insult the endless, stay focused, toasting the host. We from coast to coast, back to the future, back to the future. Who I be, Elohim, Prince Shaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D, Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether, before BCE, we exist, from now to infinity, infinity, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future.
Here we come, Tanzania. Yeah. 2021 and beyond. Mind, mental is never destroyed.
That's all crazy. Yo, shout out to Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future. That was the inspiration. Like, you know, I grew up in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? The 80s, the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I was born in the 70s, so naturally, you know, when I was like Back to the Future, because I was watching Back to the Future. So I'm like, damn, Back to the Future. Back to the Future. Who I be, Prince Shaw, Lan'Diin, be a divine being, see beyond 3D, Illuminati can't stop me, non-ether. Then I said before BCE, we exist, from now to infinity. That right there, this is how we chill remember, this is how we chill from 93 until, from Souls of Mischief. Give a shout out to Jonathan. I think he's part of the M.I.N.D squad. He came, that I think Jonathan was casual or something like that. Yeah. Because you know, all of them were known as the Hieroglyphs crew. They came from out of Oakland, California. So I'm definitely hip to them. So when I say from now to infinity, infinity, that idea sprung from, this is how we chill from 93 until. So I'm like, damn. So what I'm doing is, it's like, if you ain't catching it, like them, they're like, yo, that was a fat ass bar that the Mighty Hebrew threw out there. You know what I mean? So give a shout out to Souls of Mischief, Casual, all them over there in Oakland, California. So getting back to what I was reading. So I was saying, like, when you're dealing with these stactorial or cyclopean images, you're really dealing with a certain power source that you really don't understand what you're really working with. You thinking, damn, I'm dealing with these powers based on based on, you know, I just like these things. But you don't understand that you're a part of a ritual, you know what I mean? A dark ritual. You know, you'll hear people say Masonic ritual. I even say it at times, but it even goes deeper than that, because these dark arts existed even before Masonry. So that's another thing. We always want to blame the Illuminati, Masonry. I'm saying this shit higher than them, because you talking about the world of the goof, where, you know, these forces dwell. I mean, we can't deny that these forces, I'm not going to deny and say these forces don't exist, for the simple fact there are scientific evidences and proof, you know, amongst the Catholics, and other paranormal researchers that the possessions do take place. And when you read in the Zohar, it speaks about the world of the Gulf, which is like the residue of the emanation or the creation that is what they would consider the darkest of dark. And sometimes they embody in human form within, the Gulf, because the Gulf is where all, so-called energies are held. Remember, all things took 7 emanated cycles. So you incarnate continuously within this will or these 7 endless cycles of existence. You've always existed. This is cycles and seasons. This is not linear, one point to another. No. This is that constant. But even though it's on a line of direction, yes, but there are cycles and seasons. This is why we were told to count the Omer. This is why we were told to deal with certain cycles and seasons when it came to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Creator. Why? Because it would align us with the Bereshit code that was outlined in Genesis, the 1st chapter. So getting back into this, not J.A. Rogers, but this is coming from out of Rose on French Painting and Sculpture, Gistavy, Torrey, in the introduction to the Dory Bible illustrations on page, that looks like that's 9, on page 9. Yep. So to continue on where I was at, I was saying painting, sculptures, and dramatic music and architect all sprang up with the enclosure, and in a certain sense, they all belong to it still. The medieval and modern work of art, which perpetrate the ecclesiastical myths of antiquity, are to be numbered by the million and are scattered broadcast. Those who, Salaki, excuse me, those which refute them are few and but little known. It goes on to say, for us today, there can be little doubt that these engravings have fixed the iconography of the Bible in our minds. So you can't say that psychologically we haven't been damaged. There has been damage. Okay. We can't act like there hasn't been damage, because it's been damaged. And that's a fact. We can no longer say, oh, we haven't been damaged, because we have been. So what I'm also going to do within this demonstration is take some key points that me and Zion Lexx did yesterday. So let me go there real quick. Okay. Yep. So we go here. So it's coming in now. So I pray that all of y'all are in great spirits, and that the Creator of heaven and earth has maintained all y'all causes for righteousness' sake. Over here, we loving it in Africa. It's beautiful over here. It's a dream come true, to be in the continent and having my first child in Africa. This is we controlling our own destiny. That's what it's always been about. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful thing. Right? I'm just loving life. That's what I'm loving. I'm loving life. Y'all got to leave from from over there. I'm telling y'all, man. I ain't lying, man. I'm really not lying. Y'all got to roll from, the United States. and wherever else Israel is scattered, y'all need to roll from there. So I wanna show y'all some things because we talking about an image. And this is why I love the alliance me and Zion Lex have. By the way, we're going to be doing a lot of things together. We're putting a team together. That's going to be like putting Israel in the state of honor where they need to be, because this was on the 15th of June. You know what I'm saying? So we working it, rewinding it. Let me make sure I got it on the right. Okay, it's on there. I'm just waiting. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what that is. What the hell? Okay. See how it should be popping up? I ain't even hit that. Where does it come from? I don't even want to even mess with that. Say, this is crazy. All right, it's cool. I don't know what the hell. It's like it's frozen or something. I don't know. I'm gonna get it on in a second, but I just bring it back to me and continue to read. I don't know why it's doing this. Okay. I don't want to let me see something. Go like this for a second. Take this off. Let me see something. Yeah, it's very nice. But what I can do, yup, I can do that. That's what I'll do. See, the Most High is always going to make a way. Never forget that. Never forget that the Most High will always make a way, no matter what. You know, let me just reset first and see. Okay, so I just do it. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I ain't gotta, let's see. Oh, they got me. Oh, that's just something. Oh, I ain't. Internet traffic is currently blocked to protect your privacy. Oh, okay. Something must be going on. It's all cool. I got this. Don't even worry about it, y'all. Somebody tried to do something and my joint discovered it. So that's what I'm saying. I got that great technology. You know what I'm saying? So I could come right off of this. I still got y'all. So now getting back to my point as to what I'm saying, like we have to really dive into this right here. Dive into this level right here. So
0 and 5, we live. We are live. We are live. We are live. Coming to you again, once again, family. If you guys can hear me, you know what to do. With the sound of my voice, throw some ones in the room. If you guys can hear me, let's get a mic check real quick. Put some ones in the room, family.
But see, because I gotta but I just want to show y'all something real quick that I felt as though is very important within my presentation that I'm showing. And I was going to show it on the computer, but as y'all can clearly see,
Going into the woods, having another vision.
Okay.
And you would have found out that I have allergies. That's right.
Let me get to it. I want y'all to see something.
That's a part of the leadership.
Okay. So I think this is it. Yup.
Exactly how to come up. On Google or on their website? On Google.
Okay. Now,
No, on Google.
remember I was saying about an image, right? So you have the ancient watchmen and others, they try to say that they Israel. But we know imagery is everything. Now, to the world, imagery is just a statue. But no, imagery can also be an idea that permeates through men. So watch this, y'all. You're going to type in leadership pictures of William S. Crawley. Leadership, the leadership of William S. Crawley movement today. Say it like that and watch it pop up. Because I don't have nothing on me right now to look it up real quick. And if I use this, it'll go off. All my stuff is upstairs. And watch y'all see a chain of these leaders going back all the way to 1896. Man, come on, man. Excuse me, y'all. Salaki. I apologize.
The Black Conscious Movement can't do nothing like this, man.
All right, so
We don't have no records of them.
where you want to go with this one? To images?
Yeah, you can. Let me see. Matter of fact, at your far right, look where you see some of the images of the leadership. You see where, you see William S. Crawley right there. And then right next to him, that should be a website right there. One of them underneath should say something about the website, because I know that picture right there. That's a part of the leadership picture. What's his name right there?
This is Bishop W.H. Plummer, also known as grandfather.
Yup, that Abraham. Yup, that's them. That's the second that came after William S. Crawley. My whole point is that they have a chain of leaders. That it's an unbroken chain since William S. Crawley all the way to today. And they got their own town in Belleville, Virginia. With Israel,
And in Scopeville.
Black conscious
Scope
movement
4,
can
I mean.
show us this. None of them. You can go to their town right now. You would think it's a white town. That's what you would think, because you go through the town. It's so nice. It's upscale. They got beautiful cars, beautiful houses, but it's all black people. It's all black people. If you hit where it says celebration right there, hit that celebration. That might be their website right there. See where it says celebration, and then you see where it got William S. Crawley in blue and black. Hit that. That should be the website right there.
YouTube.
Oh, that's a YouTube clipping.
Yeah, this is a YouTube.
They don't give you the website.
Nah.
If not, when I come back on another time, or what I'll do is I'll inbox you the website, and then whenever you come back on it, anytime you're ready to expound on it, and you can see it, you're gonna be like, wow.
Are you streaming from your phone or a laptop?
Streaming from my phone? I would have to see if I can get a laptop sent down to me. Yeah, I'm on my phone right now.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, man. I mean, next time when you have that available, even a tablet.
Matter of fact, one more thing, Zion. On your left-hand side is where it says celebration. Not that dude that looked like he's in a graduation suit. Is that a person like in a graduation suit? Hit that
This
one.
one?
Yeah, right there. Now that should be their leadership right there. Because I want the people to see this. Like our people been engulfed in the Hebrew. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is an article that's talking about them losing their leader.
Okay, that just passed away. Okay. They got their own website, and it shows all the way. It goes in the story of William S. Crawley, that he was born in Maryland as a slave in 1847.
He was also a sergeant in the Civil War. Then after the Civil War, he started getting visions, which became known as the 7 Keys. And in them 7 keys, right there, that's William S. Crawley house right there. You know what I mean? They go Bishop C.L. Mason. All these guys knew they were Israelites. Come on, man. These guys, listen, they break down how he got these 7 keys. He started preaching in Lawrence, Kansas, way before anyone West Camp was on any street corner. William S. Crawley was already on street corners teaching in Lawrence, Kansas. Then from there, he wound up, going into the woods, having another vision, and came out. His hair on his head, beard, everything was white, mysteriously. Excuse me. Then he wound up going into Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1901. He wound up anointing C.M. Mason, who in turn went to South Africa, which off branch, which you got the African Zionist movement and different things like that. Prophet Enoch Artem. After that, in 1906, William S. Crawley wound up going to what you know, Belleville, Virginia, and from there they established their own community. They got their own town. They got their own police, their own fire department, their own hospitals. This is a fact. This is you can type up William S. Crawley community in Belleville, Virginia. And well, let me make this clear. All that, the police department, fire department, all that is in Scope Fort, Virginia, which is right next to Belleville. Belleville, they got their own towns, like neighborhoods, everything. This is black men and women. They've been having this over 100 years. Keep going, watch. Come up. It'll come up. This is what we established. You want us to throw the scripture away, but it was the scripture that caused us to build these communities. But with the Afrocentric black conscious community, y'all not building shit. What are you building? Only thing y'all doing is talking about writing books, controlling your intellectual property, and trying to debunk somebody else's belief. But y'all don't have nothing that is practical that we can grab and use to build self-autonomistic communities. Where's your blueprint? If you telling us to throw the scripture away, what blueprint can we use? Y'all have no fucking blueprint for us, but y'all trying to tell us to throw away the scripture. Yeah, I think that's their website right there. You found it, huh? Okay, yup, that's it. So if you keep scrolling, you're gonna see they leaders from then to now. Show us that y'all got master teachers tracing down from generation to generation. No black consciousness. Then go ahead, Zion.
No. I said, Dad.
Right. For those entering the chat, please. Oh, okay. Absolutely. So as you scroll, you're going to see a chain of leaders. This is why I'm trying to tell you, ancient watchmen, that y'all not Israel. Y'all running a bunch of game. We have a chain of leaders that can go back to William S. Crawley, some the Prophet Frank S. Cherry. Right now, if you go to 25th and Nicholson Street, Prophet Frank S. Cherry, 1886. You go, because I think on the left-hand side, it should, on the right-hand side, it says in this section, it should probably have a leadership. I don't know. It should break it all down. But my whole point that I'm saying is you have teachers that we can go back to. And then when we show about Israel Hill and where it talks about Israelites, see, that's all they leaders right there. That's it right there. There it is right there. What are you talking about, man? We got prominent leaders from then during slavery times to now. And if we talk about Israel Hill, all you got to do is get the book Israel on the Aftermath and talk about in 1798, that there was slaves amongst the so-called Africans that practiced the Israelite culture. They had their own little areas and towns and communities during Shabbat, during the Feast of Tablet. This is 1798. Here's the leaders. Pull them leaders up, Zion. Show these people the power of the true and living that we worship. This stuff ain't starting no one West. Stop lying. This go back to slavery times and before that when we brought it over with us to the continent. So what are you talking about? Didn't Dr. John Henrik Clarke tell you that there were Israelites that went into the body of Africa? Didn't Dr. Ben tell you that? Didn't Sheikh Auntie Diop tell you that? Wasn't Dr. Ben an understudier of the late Rabbi Wentworth A. Matthews? Wasn't Rabbi Wentworth A. Matthews an understudier of Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford that came from Barbados? Wasn't Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford an understudier of the Crawley movement? What are you talking about, man? We have facts, evidence, hard-bodied Hebrew anthropogenesis. That's what we're talking about here. We ain't talking about guesswork, and we ain't talking about no hearsay. We are talking about unadulterated, undeniable historical facts. You want to talk about Malcolm X, but you want to leave out Arnold Josiah Ford. You want to talk about Elijah Muhammad, but you want to leave out Prophet F.S. Cherry. You want to talk about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, but you don't want to say nothing about Ben Ami. You don't want to say nothing about Yahweh Ben Yahweh. You don't want to say nothing about Nashi Kwam. You don't want to say nothing about Rabbi Washington over in South America. Man, personally, Kohen Mikhail Belay, they gave him 25 years teaching the truth in South America. Y'all don't know nothing about Israelite culture and history. You let James Lan'Diin, he wrote a book, Black Judaism, and had y'all believe that it came from out of the Pentecostal movement. How dumb can you be when the Israelite movement existed in the United States before the Pentecostal movement was even in existence? What are you talking about? Y'all running a bunch of fucking games, and y'all got our people believing, oh, just be plain old Africans. Oh, just be plain old West Africans. We know for a fact West Africa was a haven for people that came from the Near East. You know this to be a fact. Why would we study the Yoruba? Why would we study the Akan? Why would we study the Homians and the Fantis and the Fulani? And we got, what's his name? Don't we got Imhotep? What's his name? Asar Imhotep telling us that the Fulani were the Hebrews. Come on, man. Stop playing all these games, man. Acting like the Hebrews is irrelevant. They are doing this because it's based on jealousy, because they know that the rabbit came out the hat, that they know, in fact, that the so-called comedians were E1B1B. They know for a fact that the West African tribes are E1B1A/M2, and the women are L2, L3, and they in fact are Israelites, and y'all know it, and y'all sitting up here lying to the people, acting like if you can acknowledge all these other tribes coming to Africa, but you can't acknowledge Israelites and Rob Bourne, your argument is off when you try to talk about voodoo, because a lot of them joints is centralized in Latino areas. When you go to Barbados, when you go to certain parts of Jamaica, when you go into United States, we wasn't upholding no shit like that heavy. We was more in tune that there was one power. Even when you look at those that are deep into the voodoo, why they don't have cuts on them called Eli in the Yoruba vernacular. And it's funny, and as well as in the native Liberian vernacular. But what's so funny, they call the cuts that they put on their face Eli. Go look it up. Don't that mean in Hebrew, my power? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't understand the fusionism, that you're going to have an amalgamation of cultures mixed. It is up to us to research the anthropogenesis of the culture that you're aligning yourself with. If you're saying you're Akan, then why is there the Akan prince over there in Ghana? His name is Akimba. He wrote the book, The Revelation, from Canaan to Africa, West Africa. What's up with that? What's up with that, man? What you got right there, Side Netter? Not said Side Netter. You see I'm coming at these people, Zion Lexx.
I'm about to
You
go
see
in
I'm
a couple.
coming.
I'm about to go in a couple
Yeah,
moments. I just gotta use the bathroom real quick.
I got you. I'll hold it down. So what I'm saying to Zion Lexx, to all the brothers and sisters that's watching me, you have a rich heritage as Hebrew Israelites. A rich heritage. Forgive me for my voice, y'all. I teach so much, you know what I'm saying? But I want to give y'all just a couple of quotations, okay? A couple of quotations that make it strong. The statement of what I'm saying is strong, right? Let's go there. Let's go into the book, A Better Understanding in the Truth About Black Biblical Hebrew Israelites, on page 55 and 56 by Elder Moses Farrar, who's still alive, by the way, and Elder J. Hughley. They say there are well over 150,000 Israelites throughout the length and breadth of Africa right now. This is back in the day, right? What they found out and who they were in contact with, right? 40,000 living in Ethiopia, Northeast Africa alone. On Africa's west coast, there are Israelites in Dahomey, Timbuktu, Ghana, Nigeria, Guinea, etc. In South Africa, there are Black Israelite congregations in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Transvaal, Zululand, and many other areas of the Republic of South Africa. What y'all talking about, man? Only read that right there until Zion came back. Zion Lexx just came back. Go ahead, Zion, rip it out the frame, man.
All right, man. All right, man. I got this in the bang. I'm about to go in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Here we go.
So stop there for a second and then come back. So what I'm saying, right, is that if you're the people of the book, right, why you don't have the images of the people of the book? Like when we just dealt with the Crawleys, I just dealt with the Crawleys and show how there was a chain of these leaders knowing that they were Israelites. You don't see this in the Hispanic community because they don't have that real image. You see what I'm saying? So watch this. Let's go even deeper. Let's go to, where do I want to go? Let's go to Exodus chapter 23, verse 13. And in all things that I have said unto you, to be circumspect, and make no mention of the names of the other gods, neither let it be heard from thy mouth. Right? So I want to read something from out of this book called The Messiah and the End of This World on page 11 by the late Ben-Ami. He says this: the Euro-Gentile Greek interpolators, while attempting to crush rebellion, always sought to prevent the rise of a Messiah in the midst of the Israelites. They inaugurated the process of name sacrilege. They had been well taught by their spiritual mentors that men of high spiritual sensitivity should always pronounce the name of the anointed with profound accuracy. Their first text of name sacrilege was initiated with Yeshua Bar Yosef. They transformed his name, thus successfully transforming his character in the minds of the people, and amputated his message from its prophetic body by calling Yeshua Bar Yosef, Jesus Christ. The Euro-Gentiles successfully transformed the spirit of the man and his message to conform to their scheme. How was this accomplished? They gave him a Greek name and then created an image and personality which would be in agreement. Very few people are aware that the spelling and pronunciation, the name Jesus Christ, is totally Greek. The English derivatives are in harmony with the Greek, not Hebrew syntax. Come on, man. So if you're running around still calling on these pagan names, and even if you got his accurate name, y'all still ain't changed his character. And even if you still got his accurate name, that don't mean you pray in his name and all this weirdo stuff. No. We have to now get back to the oneness of Yahweh only. Only. Right? So, there's an image. Daniel chapter 12, 25, once again. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the apart ones of the Most High, and think to change the times and the laws. Well, let's go to Rescuing Jesus from the Gospels, page 227 and 236, which reads, before Christianity could grow into a major religion, it had to be shaped to appeal to the Gentiles, and chief among these were the Romans. This was no small task for a single institution, and recrafting its counter space, Jesus, needed to be successfully accomplished to ensure survival in the hostile political environment of the Roman Empire. Not only the man must be reshaped, but the very ceremony and mystery of the religion required redrafting to move into the Gentile mainstream. Adopting pagan imagery and phraseology went a long way towards ensuring that Christian triumph in the Roman Empire. Just as important were the adaptations of pagan ceremonies that became Christian sacraments. That's deep. That's deep. And that's what you see. This is why y'all guys can't get out of the mind state of worshiping a man. Okay? Let's listen to this. You are challenged, as Dr. Sar Ahmadiel would say, you are challenged to reconsider these and other concepts in the light of ancient truth instead of the darkness of contemporary deception. Christmas, Easter, and other holidays, the resurrection, the Old Testament fulfilled, winged angels versus messengers, grace versus the law of Yahweh, Sunday as the Sabbath day, Rome versus Jerusalem, the rapture, judgment day, life and death, heaven and hell, the virgin birth, Paul versus the prophets. During the reign of deception, the names of the days of the week have been changed as follows to honor pagan gods. First day to Sunday, sun god. Second day to Monday, the moon. Third day to Tuesday, Thor or Mars. Fourth day to Wednesday, Wood and Odin. Fifth day to Thursday, Thor, Jupiter. Sixth day to Friday, Phregs. Seventh day or Sabbath day to Saturday, Saturn. Right? Then if we shoot over into the scripture to Shemot chapter 20, verse 8 to 10, it reads, remember the Shabbat day to keep it apart. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahweh, thy Elohim. Ben-Ami said in the Bible, in the days of the kingdom, a lecture in Atlanta, Georgia, community, July 16th, 1995. You were just born into the society, and being born here does not mean that its traditions and practices are right. But someone has to tell you the truth. The new year doesn't start in the middle of winter. The day doesn't start at the middle. And Yahweh already had a day, which is so true. What Ben-Ami said is true. You see what I'm saying? We come up with trying to change things. Sunday cannot be understood apart from the Shabbat and the week it designates, established as a day of rest of man and beast. The Sabbath was not a subdivision of any other time cycle, but marked every seventh day uninterrupted by the turning of months or years. So fundamental it was indeed that the Genesis account of the creation of the world relates as well as the emanation or creation of the week. The assignment of planetary names to the days of the week is paganism. Probably began with the assignment of the Sabbath to Saturn, but all of the days of the week were probably assigned to planets by the beginning of the Christian era. Justin Marr, A.D. 150, speaks of Christian assemblies on the day of the sun. Whatever is to said of the influence of the sun coat in the 2nd century, there is less doubt of its influence in the 4th. By fairly general agreement, the Emperor Constantine addicts limited work on Sunday, A.D. 321, reflected his devotion to the sun as divinity, as if not more than his devotion to the risen Christ. From that time, in any case, Sunday did become the Christian's surrogate for the Sabbath rest, whereas had previous been only the day for Christian assembly. That's in Sunday, the Pre-Rananda Dictionary of World Religions, page 724. Yirmiyah says, O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction, the going Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things in which there is no profit. That's so true.
This is called the Hebrew Israelites who helped to build the Pan-African movement of Marcus Garvey. We're going to give y'all some history right now, because they're acting like Hebrew Israelites don't understand what Pan-Africanism is. We're not part of Pan-Africanism, when if you check the records, we built Pan-Africanism in this country, and I'm about to give y'all a receipt. So here we go. If you look at the screen right now, you can see some of the pioneers. This says the Hebrew Israelites who helped to form the Pan-African movement. At the very, very top, you can see the Moorish Zionist Temple, located at 127 West 137th Street. This is a group of Israelites who also identified themselves as Moors. So that shows you how deep the Moorish and Israelite connection is throughout our history here in America and abroad. We even had Israelites that identified as that. And Mighty Hebrew, what's interesting is, if you look at the rabbi's hand, isn't he holding up the claw like how we greet each other when we see each other in the Israelite community? Is he holding up the same claw, the same paw, the lion paw that we give, that you know to be from B'nai Zakim, that you know to be associated with Israelites in New York, and even new Israelites in Philly and other parts of the country? You see them doing these gestures. To your left, you have Rabbi Matthews. To your right, you have Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford. And at the bottom, you have Marcus Garvey. Watch me go to work, y'all. You had somebody in the early or in the late 19th century. His name was Father Divine. He was called Father Divine. He was born George Baker in Rockville, Maryland in 1879. He founded the Peace Mission movement. He was thought to be mean because he talked and spoke tough. He was a black autocrat who deluded his followers into thinking he was divine, so they say. However, some people believe that he created a philosophy of positive thinking. You damn right he did. White folk thought he was very, very mean and thought he was very, very rude And reality is they were very upset at the fact that this black man was telling other black people that they are the children of the Most High God, which in fact makes them divine as well. And he called himself Father Divine. After a judge's death in a suburb of New York, the PMM moved to Harlem. The PMM is the Peace Mission movement. They moved to Harlem. The movement consisted of blacks and whites and embraced everyone. Divine spurned racial segregation. I'm setting up for y'all so y'all can kind of see the backdrop to how the Pan-African movement started in this country. These are some
Absolutely.
of the people that were very, very well known during these times. This is a man known as Father Divine. I'm going to give you some more.
Absolutely.
Father Divine philosophy, he promoted positive thinking. He said one's positive thought towards God enables one to discern God. He says, but if you are sincere in the beginning, God is able to reach the heart and mind no matter where a person is. So he taught black people that no matter your station in life, no matter your past, God understands and knows your condition. In fact, he knew it when he brought you into this world. He knew where you would be today from the moment he brought you into this world. Yet he still brought you into this world, which means obviously he has a plan for you. He says that he will set some free from that person's bad condition if that person will make mental and spiritual contact. One of Father's Divine's philosophy, he says, one contacts the Father by relaxing one's mind. So he spoke about meditation. He also said, one must believe in the omnipotence of God in order to gain victory over one's thoughts. You must understand that the Almighty is all powerful in order to have mastery of your own thoughts. Father Divine also says that he possessed God's body. So watch this, brother. This was the origin and first time use of the term God body. Father Divine
listen, I'm stopping you for a second. I knew you was going to go there. I know where you going to go. Are you going to speak briefly also about St. John the Divine?
I'm going to wait till you see some of the people I got up here.
All right. I ain't going to say that. I'm just watching. Go ahead. Do your thing, man.
With all due respect and much respect to Clarence 13X, formerly of the Nation of Islam, who formed the nations of gods and earths, who taught that 85% of the world is deaf, dumb, and blind, 10% have the knowledge but use it for unrighteous gain, and the other 5% are the poor, righteous teachers, the Asiatic black man of the earth. This is what Clarence 13X said, and he called himself God. And he said that we are gods, but what you guys need to know is that went all the way back to this black man right here, Father Divine. He spoke of the black man as being God body. Y'all need to know that. All right, let me keep going. Father Divine had a wife named Penina. Isn't that a Hebrew name, y'all? They purchased a house in Sayville in 1919. His movement or association group called the Peace Mission Movement sprang from the inauspicious beginning, propagating thousands of righteous followers in many countries of the world. Father Divine and his wife Edna, remember, he didn't believe in segregation, so he went on to marry even a white woman, which is quite interesting, especially at that time. We look at it today as Israelites and say, can't believe that he's a sellout. Regardless of your views, I just want y'all to think about this. This man telling you that he's God, telling other black people that they God, also married a white woman. You know the kind of balls this man had to have to do that during his time? He lived during a time when they were still lynching us, as it were.
Absolutely. That took even though today, we wouldn't do that, but we got to look at the dynamics of what was going on. And like you said, this man taught that we was God, the so-called black man.
That's right.
And so that means that white woman that he had, you understand what I'm saying? And you do have certain Israelite schools that believe that the women of other nations are going to be subservient to him. Could that not be the beginning stages that were made manifest by the way of Father Divine? Hallelujah.
That's right. Hallelujah. This is his house in Long Island. Now, at the time that he bought it, and even today, by today's standard, The house is considered a mini mansion. It has over 17 bedrooms in this house, Mighty Hebrew. This is still in Long Island today. Like, for instance, if you in New York City, you could pull up in Long Island and you could see this house today.
Yo, that joint is banging. That's how I look right now, huh?
Yep, that's how. And he has several people living with him, man. And at the time when he bought it, he was the only black person in the neighborhood, and they tried repeatedly to kick him out. And when they first came to kick him out of the neighborhood, he said, "Oh yeah, y'all want to kick me out of y'all comfortable white neighborhood?" So you know what he did every Friday, Mighty Hebrew? He held parades in the neighborhood and walked around the whole neighborhood.
Yup, I heard about that. Yup.
He said, "Y'all don't like seeing one of us? Well, I'm going to put 100 of us here every week." Now, some people says that he was a religious extremist because later on, he posted a picture in the backdrop which says, "Father Divine is God." Now, remember, he taught that man is God. So he wasn't really trying to say that he specifically was God, but he believed that the black man was God and that black people were divine. And this is what members of his coalition look like in the height of his organization. Look at the women. Look at the men. Then you got a brother, I know you know about him, Mighty Hebrew. Sweet Daddy
I know
Grace.
about Sweet Daddy Grace. Absolutely.
Sweet Daddy Grace, baby. Listen.
Absolutely.
Arnetta don't even go into this history, and he's from Harlem. I'm trying to figure out how, man.
He's a Harlem native. I know Father Divine. He was very deep also in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, because as a matter of fact, my grandmother on my mother's side, may she rest in completeness, was a member of Father Divine's church.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Now watch this. Sweet Daddy Grace was born Marcelo Graca in Brava Verde in 1882 and died in 1960. He founded what's called the House of Prayer in Egypt in 1923. So you're talking about there was people of Hebrew descent in Kemet long before any Grand Master teaches in Kemet, and they wasn't pushing the Book of the Dead, Mighty Hebrew. They was there pushing that Bible, brother.
Right, because Sweet Daddy Grace, he believed that the Negroes were from the tribe of Judah. That's what he acknowledged. And he acknowledged that modern day America was Egypt.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Now watch this. He formed what's called the United House of Prayer for All People in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1926, and incorporated United House of Prayer for All People Church on the Rock of the Apostolic Faith at Washington, D.C. So he also had a foothold in Maryland and Baltimore. Daddy Grace was seen as a healer, miracle worker, and even God incarnate to some. Sweet Daddy Grace was one of the first black ministers in this country to perform miracle working. So all of the black ministers that you see today, and even the white ministers that follow them, they all got it from Sweet Daddy Grace. This is a history that the people need to know. Sweet Daddy Grace, they said, was a flamboyant, charismatic leader who became quite wealthy. He said, in order to join, one must have a conversion experience. There is a creed. His churches have many people physically and spiritually. His legacy provided jobs, daycare centers, inexpensive housing, food banks, and senior citizens. So watch this, Mighty Hebrew. In the Kemetic country, you got so many people right now talking about the Israelites aren't doing nothing. What can the Bible do for us? When we have, Mighty Hebrew, a very long history of people standing on and with the Bible and using that knowledge to establish schools, housing, food, clothing, and shelter, providing jobs, repatriation. We're actually doing this with the inspiration of the Bible that people who go against the Bible still haven't done.
And if anybody tried to attack his name, Sweet Daddy Grace, well, let me give you the brief history of Sweet Daddy and his understanding. Sweet Daddy Grace he loved the Old Testament. He loved heavy the story of Abraham. I read his autobiography. And in his autobiography, he had a fascination for Abraham as a child. And as he developed and, he became Sweet Daddy, that was based on the fact in Hebrew culture, the head patriarch always was labeled within the household as Abba. Remember, Abba means first in rank, or the Aleph in Hebrew is first in rank, and the Beit is the house. So we're talking about the strong leader of the house. So in that retrospect, when Sweet Daddy Grace had that name, he was identifying himself as being a father figure to his household or his flock, as in the days of Abraham, thus showing more of the identifiable markers of the Hebrew presence within the so-called African-American community. Selah.
That's a fact. That's a fact, man. That's a fact. Let me give this word. The next one on the list is Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali. Watch this. Noble Drew Ali is considered the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the MSTA, popularly known. A lot of people don't know that Noble Drew Ali had great respect for the Israelite community and the elders in there as well. A lot of people are unaware, Mighty Hebrew, of the relationships that coexisted within these communities. You see, unlike today, where a person is seeking fame and notoriety, so they make a PowerPoint, a diss record, then go on YouTube and attack people. Back then, these leaders said, yeah, we got differences, but let's come together and build a school. Let's come together and build an organization that can help all of our communities. These people didn't sit down and sit back and watch TV or sit back on their behind and talk about each other. These people said, your wisdom is only as great as the action you put behind it. So if your doctrine is truly as powerful that you say it is, let's unite and build together. That's what our forefathers of Almighty Hebrew did. And this is what we must continue. All of the petty differences, that shit is mute. That shit is mute and dead. Instead of arguing, listen, we could go behind closed doors and give out this work. We could really do that. But for some of us, we really have a greater desire to actually build. Yeah, you might see us debating, and we debate because we're not going to let nobody diss our doctrine. We're not going to let nobody shit on our culture. But that's not what we would rather be doing. We'd rather be building.
Kang, and I see that you made mention of Noble Drew Ali. Give a shout out to Brother Alim Bey, the one that debated in the past setting. Alim Bey has his own website, and Alim Bey did some magnificent work on the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. And we know that was developed in 1899 in Brooklyn, New York, by a man by the name of Rabbi Leon Richardlew, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, and then wound up moving to Harlem in 1928 and was established 1929 by Rabbi Mordecai Herman. You even see pictures to this day of that. Alim Bey proved is that Noble Drew Ali's parents, and he even has pictures on his website, Noble Drew Ali's parents were members of the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. So when we now see Noble Drew Ali, okay, even in the Circle 7 Quran, you clearly hear him in the Circle 7 Quran talking about Yeshua. And he talks about, one of the questions was, what was the mission of Yeshua? And something about, to destroy the Roman Empire that was that was oppressing the Black Israelites. So even Noble Drew Ali, out of his mouth, knew that the Israelites were Black. And you also see the connection of Noble Drew Ali's parents, being affiliated with the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. And that is being backed up, but not only one, but many. But just to give you a Black conscious face, Alim Bey backs up that stance. Hallelujah.
Absolutely. Hallelujah. Here we go. In 1887 to 1940, You have the man known as Marcus Messiah Garvey, or otherwise known as the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. He was born in Jamaica, West Indies. He became a strong proponent of black nationalism and of a black nation. He instilled pride in blacks and encouraged them to fight racism. He successfully started a black shipping line known as the Black Star Liner. He accentuated black achievement, which rivaled achievement of other ethnic groups. This is him here at one of his annual parades in Harlem. What a lot of people don't know, Mighty Hebrew, and I brought this out in a lecture that I did many years ago. What a lot of people don't know about Marcus Garvey is, remember his history. Marcus Garvey, from the early 1920s, conducted parades throughout Harlem where he invited the leaders of color from several different nations all around the globe. And while the parade is the thing that he's most famously known for, a lot of people don't know is the meetings that they held behind closed doors, which was the reason why a lot of these leaders came to New York City and Harlem in particular. So Marcus Garvey in the early 1920s would invite black leaders from all parts of the globe to talk about and integrate the idea of the black struggle. And America began to look at that, take notes, and watch and listen to me carefully. Soon thereafter, America forms what we now know as the United Nations, which is an organization which allows for the convening and the meeting of several different nations across the globe to meet up and talk about issues that affect people throughout the world. What y'all need to know is that the idea was spearheaded by Marcus Garvey. He does not get the credit for this. What the UN
you absolutely,
what the UN did with all of these meetings behind closed doors, it became the impetus and the spearhead for the very formation of what's called the United Nations today. Also, there would not be a Federal Bureau of Investigation, otherwise known as FBI, if it was not for the fact that a young attorney named J. Edgar Hoover, who was then part of what's called the Bureau of Investigation, he was watching Marcus Garvey and he wanted to attack him. He regarded Marcus Garvey as the great Negro agitator, and he knew that the message of Marcus Garvey could help to unite black peoples, not just in America, but throughout the world. He saw and witnessed in person the power of Marcus Garvey's voice and the impact that it had on people. And he convened with his leadership and he asked them, if I am to pursue Marcus Garvey, I'm going to need more power. So they said, what do you need? He said, you're going to have to give me federal power. And that is the reason why, from that time on, the Bureau of Investigation became known as the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. Newsflash, guys, the FBI was formed to take down Marcus Garvey. That's history for black people. You need to know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
History.
Absolutely.
And the first black agent that was hired, and this is crazy, the first black agent that was hired, he was hired to take down Marcus Garvey as well, which shows you that from the inception of consciousness in this country, this system has always used our own people to attack our own people. So ask yourself a question, Israelites and conscious community. When you see people and groups attacking several...
So that has to be looked at. That has to be looked at. What Zion Lexx said, that has to be looked at, because this constant attack, that's what they was doing then.
African-centered or Afrocentric groups, black groups in this country and out the country, whether they signed up for it or not, they are helping and aiding white supremacy. They are helping and aiding the FBI. Because the reality is,
call them out.
Even if you didn't sign up to become an agent, you are doing the job of an agent when you go against all of these black organizations that played a major role in uplifting the consciousness of black people. I am not a Muslim, but I respect the wisdom of Elder Louis Farrakhan greatly, as well as Malcolm X. greatly, as well as Elijah Muhammad greatly. While we have differences, I realize that the consciousness that they brought helped to raise some of the consciousness of even the elders
Absolutely.
of my community. So why wouldn't I put respect on
Absolutely.
that? These men are the gatekeepers.
Absolutely.
And this is
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Zion, I just wanted to read this one quotation to you that's aligning with what you're saying, if that's okay with you.
oh, go ahead, go in.
In the book, The African Edenic Heritage, Exploring the African Presence in the Promised Land, excerpts and commentary from the African Edenic Heritage Museum, a traveling photographic and research expedition by Dr. Sar Amadiel Ben Yahuda. He says on page 65, Theodore Herzl, known as the father of Zionism, envisioned and labored to secure a homeland for Europe's Jewish community. Yet, history shows that Martin R. Delaney, an early Back to Africa advocate among Africans in America in the 1800s, along with Marcus Garvey, referred to his followers as Black Zion and Black Israel more than 20 years before Hezra's birth. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Powerful, man. Powerful. This right here.
So all this, the Zionist movement, they didn't start the Zionist movement. The Zionist movement really came by the way of Martin R. Delaney and all them. And Theodore Herzl and them took them concepts from Martin R. Delaney, man, and created political Zionism. Martin R. Delaney's was more prophetic Zionism. You know what I'm saying? That's what that was. Versus their political Zionism, which took a whole nother turn. That's gay.
Is really deep, Mighty Hebrew, because watch this. In the Afrocentric community today, in the conscious community today, people have so many different ideas for how we can invest, right? You have people talking about Bitcoin. You even have blacks today talking about the need for black and Afrocentric communities to invest in the stock market. Well, brother, since the early 1920s, Marcus Garvey already did that. Rabbi Ford already did that. Rabbi Matthews already did that, because these men helped to put together what's known as the Black Star Line, and they had stock, shares of stock, which was worth at that time, listen to this, 500,000. Mark, let me ask you a question, Mighty Hebrew. What do you think 500,000 in 1920 is comparable to today?
$5 million.
if that. So just imagine, y'all, that our ancestors was already doing the work that many of us talk about doing in the future today. They were doing it back then. And if we are not doing this, then we just talking. This is why I'm saying, guys, when we say to you guys, support the platform, it's not just talk, because your support, be it jumping behind us by spreading the word, or be it financially supporting us, you're helping us to galvanize the community so that we can build centers and institutions so that we can enjoy many of these things. This is why it's very imperative.
And it's very imperative. And anybody want to donate to the cause of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism and repatriating back to Africa, please do so at $ Princess Itana, capital P, lowercase RINCESS, Itana, capital E, connected to Princess, lowercase ITANA, $ Princess Itana. That's gay.
Community support those who are doing the work.
Absolutely. And also, Zion, one of the teachers are here at the Prince Asiel International Academy. If we do have time, if you want to get a brief synopsis of the International Academy from 2 years old to the 12th grade, we have instructors, professional instructors here right now that just came in that are willing to give you a brief synopsis of what we're doing in Tanzania right now for ourselves and also for the locals. So to answer that question, can Hamitic tribes also attend our schools and do things? Sure they can. Why? Because we're supposed to be a light into the nations as a sovereign people. And right now in Tanzania, I'm moving as a sovereign. I'm not over here confounded to anything. Even over here in Tanzania, they go by P.O. boxes. There's no addresses on their property because they live as sovereigns over here. Hallelujah.
That's a fact. Hallelujah. So yes, I'm going to take you up on that. Let me just get through 2 more slides. This is Rabbi.
No, I want you to take your time. Take your time.
All right. This is Rabbi Mordecai Herman. As we pointed out to you earlier, he's standing in front of the Moorish Zionist temple, Moorish Jews. Now watch this. I had
There
a
you go, right
conversation.
there.
You remember Rabbi Harry Rosenberg?
Yeah, the one that you bodied, I bodied, and I know him.
Right. Watch
He's
this.
a good dude, though, in his own right. Yes.
In his own right. Years ago, when me and him were actually, talking, he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Zion, man, as an honor to your community, I would like to have a mural of one of your greatest teachers made in the land of Israel." And I said, "Seriously?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "All right." And I said, he said, you pick the leader and I'll get the mural done. So the first leader that came to mind was Rabbi Matthews. But I made a mistake. But watch how the mistake turned into history. I said, "I'm going to send you a picture of Rabbi Matthews for you to do a mural of." And Rosenberg said, "Okay, as soon as I get the picture, my guy is here now. We're going to do the mural right now. So just make sure, everything is perfect. It's the right thing."
Oh, you had some. That was your idea. Oh, that was your idea.
Yeah, that was my idea. So watch this.
Oh,
so I said,
shit.
so I said to Harry Rosenberg, I said,
Now, what you about to see, right? You see this picture floating around on Facebook and stuff. I never knew that Zion Lexx was the one. This was his idea. And just keep watching. This is deep. This is deep. I love it.
say the picture right now, but I said, I got something to do. I said, but I got something to do with the family. So call me after the music is done and show me a picture of it. I sent him the picture, and then an hour later, I was like, "Oh, damn, that wasn't Rabbi Matthew. That was Rabbi Mordecai Herman."
Right, I seen that, George. That's what.
And that's the mural right now in the land of Israel.
Listen,
right now in the land of Israel, man.
Yo, I know. I got a copy of that joint, right? And I knew where you was going. And Rabbi Harry spoke briefly about it, but he didn't get into detail. So when you was telling the story, I knew this picture was going to pop up. Also, that's deep. That is deep. So originally, you was going to send Rabbi Wentworth A. Matthews, but you wind up going to Rabbi Herman, Mordecai Herman.
You see what happened? You see what happened was I'm rushing to send a picture because I had something to do with the family. And that's where I made a mistake. But remember, within our culture, we say that there's no mistakes. There's no mistakes.
Absolutely.
Even though there's none. It was still the divine plan, because watch this. Rabbi Mordecai Herman was perfect for this, because this is not just somebody that was important to the Israelite community. This is somebody that was also important to the Moorish community. And remember, before you have anybody in America saying that they're black and that they're and that they follow or practice Islam, the Moors in this country come before the Nation of Islam. Remember, Elijah's teacher, so-called Master Fard Muhammad, he was part of the Moorish Science Temple where his name was Fard El.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
That's
remember,
true.
all of our Muslim brothers and sisters, their inception, their origin is actually the Moorish Science Temple. So this was
That's true, and
powerful.
you're telling the truth. Yup.
Absolutely. So this was so powerful to have Mordecai Herman here because in essence, he represents all of the spiritual movements in Black America because they all began from the Israelite Moorish base.
Damn! Get
That's all, man. No accidents, my brother.
That's deep that you saying that because, you know, I was born a Muslim. So on my father's side, he came out of the first resurrection of the Nation of Islam. He's a highly respected man. But prior to that, my father's side were Moors because originally when Islam came into Philadelphia, it was by the way of the Moor Science Temple. And then the Moors wind up becoming a part of the Nation of Islam. When Malcolm X first came out, Al-Malik Shabazz, many people think he went to Harlem first. That's historically not true. When Malcolm X first came out of prison, he came to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to 25th and Nicholas Street under Jeremiah Shabazz, number 12 Maz. That was in 1956. Then he wound up between 56 or 58, if I'm not mistaken. Then he wound up going to Harlem under Captain Joseph. You had Captain Joseph there, and they had the number 7 Maz. The point that I'm saying is Zion Lexx is correct what he's saying, because if you look at Rabbi Mordecai Herman, I see what you did. Rabbi Mordecai Herman didn't actually come from under Rabbi Matthews. He came from Rabbi Leon Richelieu of the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. Now, out of this web, you get Noble Drew Ali. Now, Noble Drew Ali was influential. They was known as the Canaanite Temple. They came out of Trenton, New Jersey, from New Jerusalem. Then from there, they shot to Philly. They was in New York, Philly, different areas like that. We wind up getting into the Nation of Islam. And as time went on, because you know for a fact, you know the streets, Zion, Islam penetrated Philly like a subculture.
Facts.
So in Philly, like I don't give a fuck where you go to this day. People in Mecca, when they talk about pious Muslims, they say Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is known worldwide. So in Philadelphia, you have this cabal taking place. You got this street mentality in Islam and fractions of Hebrew thought and Moorish science merging, and you get, you know, this nation, not the Nation of Islam itself, but you get this power force in Philadelphia. But you see that line, and then they became Sunni. The Nation of Islam went from Moors. When I say Nation of Islam, I'm talking about members, Muslims in Philadelphia. So I want to make that clear. They went from Moorish science to Nation of Islam to Sunni Islam to Salafi Islam. I'm from Philly. I was a part of that. I was born in the Nation of Islam. When I was born a year after the messenger died, because Elijah Muhammad died in 1975. Prophet Wentworth Matthews died in 1973. I was born 76. So that's when you had the breakdown of the Nation of Islam, because you had Wallace D. Muhammad, which was Elijah Muhammad's son. He wound up becoming Sunni Muslim and start dealing with the Wahhabis over in Saudi Arabia. We talking facts. And so all Elijah Muhammad's shit and denounced them, all his properties, all them bakeries he had, them schools. It was only certain things that started to resurface, like Sister Claire Muhammad, because now Minister Louis Farrakhan is now connected to Prince Asiel. Farrakhan was like, damn, how am I going to resurrect this nation? And he didn't have the military force. So Prince Asiel took Farrakhan and the late Dr. Khalid Muhammad in 1978 to Dimona. they had a meeting to establish the NOI and NOI, meaning the Nation of Islam and the Nation of Israel. The Nation of Israel, many of the first bodyguards, which you call the fruit of Islam, that came out of the second resurrection of the Nation of Islam, was influenced by the Hebrew Israelite bodyguards of Farrakhan that came from out of the kingdom of Yah and Damona in Chicago. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. This is facts that I'm telling you. This is nothing. This is not, I'm showing what Zion Lexx is saying is true about Rabbi Mordecai Herman. He is the catalyst of all this that you see. I've never, since I've been on this planet, ever seen how somebody showed the bridge, the direct line of the Moore Science Temple and the Hebrew Israelites today by using Rabbi Mordecai Herman. I've never seen that. You killed that shit, Zion. I ain't gonna lie, you killed it.
That's why whenever people ask me about this, because I had a family that went to Israel just this year, and they FaceTimed me from Israel and was like, Zion, look at this mural. This is a black rabbi. There's a lot of people right now in front of it taking pictures because they're amazed that there's a mural of a black rabbi from America, from New York at that, in Israel.
Murder.
And I said, well, there's an interesting story behind that because the person that painted the mural did so because I sent the picture. And I'm explaining to them that I was asked to send one of my favorite teachers, of whom I could only think of Rabbi Matthews as one of the founding fathers. And in hindsight is 2020, because if I really, really thought about it, I would have said Rabbi Mordecai Herman, because this really did spearhead with him to show you that the Creator is always going to have his way. What was my mistake turned out to still be the reality and the truth.
Okay, and Zion, and Lord Zion, somebody said, mighty is something, for this is why he's well-versed like Zion, which I totally agree. And on top, remember when Zion was talking about Marcus Garvey and what they did? Listen, so nobody can say, oh, that's just what Zion's saying. All right, then let's go to Harriet Tubman, page 49, by Earl Carrad. The UNIA was the first significant Black nationalist movement that responded to the needs of the Blacks in the economic, political, religious, social, cultural, and recreational areas. In Garvey's theology, Blacks were the chosen people of God. Garveyism so resembled Zionism that Garvey actually called his followers Zionists. Then if you go to A Cultural History of African American Resistance on page 201 by V.P. Franklin, Black Self-Determination, it says, recently published documents and statements from the records of the U.S. Department of Justice reveals a concerted effort beginning in 1919 to undermine Garvey and his movement. By 1927, these federal officials, led by J. Edgar Hoover, just like Zion Lexx said, had succeeded in bringing about Garvey's deportation. Without the leader, the movement became racked with dissension. It never reestablished itself as a significant force in the campaigns for Afro-American political, social, and economic advancement in the United States. Last quotation, African Diaspora in Search of Roots, South, July 1987, page 115. Garvey belonged to a long tradition of Africans scattered abroad who had been trying to reconnect with the African continent. They include African Americans such as Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, Paul Carfey, and Martin R. Delaney, and Afro-Caribbeans such as Edward Wilmot Burden, who eventually settled in Liberia, and J. Albert Thorne. When Garvey was still a boy, Thorne was advocating the Back to Africa movement in Jamaica. As the experiences of Garvey and others show, Westerners become paranoid when blacks begin to speak of themselves as African or / African Hebrews.
Facts. Facts. Facts, man. This thing is far deeper than what people realize, man. Like, I'm so inspired in this moment because, you know, it's rare that I get to dialogue with like-minded people, very, very powerful minds. So we're going to take full advantage of this moment in history that me and you are sharing a platform together. And I'm going to pull something
This
up.
the greatest. This the greatest, man.
It's always going to be a problem when we in the same room. You know that, right?
We're going to buy. But you know what I do, Cezanne? You remember when me and you did the 2-part interview, the end of days with Chief Uziel? I listened to us. It went crazy. This one yesterday we did, and today I can see that we both grew in our understanding of the Most High and our culture. I can tell, I can hear it.
Oh, yes. And I could definitely say I've grown a lot. And I could definitely say you've grown a lot since then, which, you know, remember, part of the definition of death is that you cease growing.
Okay.
That's part of the definition of death. You know, I actually fear not growing because what I realized that the moment you stop growing, you're closer to dying.
Okay.
You know, I want to share something with y'all that I wrote a while with regard to Marcus Garvey, and then I'm going to have your teachers come in, all right?
Yep.
All right. This right here is an expose on Marcus Garvey and his relationship to the Hebrew language. Watch this, y'all. I'm not going to read it unless everybody put a 1 in the room to let me know that y'all could see it and y'all could read it too. I want to know that y'all could see it and read it too. If y'all can't read it with me, put a 2. But if you can read it, put a 1, y'all. Put a 1 if y'all could read it. Come on, guys, put a 1 if y'all could read it. And then that way I'm going to start reading because I want you guys to see. All right, boom. Here we go. I begin by saying, let me show you just how amazing this Hebrew language is. On August 17th, 1887, Marcus Messiah Garvey was born. Marcus Garvey, a revered black nationalism, and he spoke ferociously and fearlessly to those who oppressed his people. He was considered by many, including J. Edgar Hoover, as a messianic type figure, so much so that in the 60s, long after the death of Marcus Garvey, Hoover launched a program entitled COINTELPRO, and the first case was known as Operation Black Messiah, which was aimed at discrediting, defaming, or even murdering black nationalist leaders who were seen as messianic figures by those who followed them. This was based on his prior hunt for Marcus Garvey, whom Hoover himself called the Great Negro Agitator, and the Black Messiah. Ironically, Garvey's middle name, Mosiah, comes from the Hebrew word Mashiach, which we call in English Messiah. Now watch where things get interesting, y'all. In the book of Judges, there were several such figures, a Messiah-type judge, who would deliver the people from the hands of their oppressors and empower them with words of spiritual liberation. Marcus Garvey was certainly such a person in our era. In fact, the phrase in Judges chapter 2, verse 18, which says, God raised them up judges and was with the judge, that phrase in Hebrew is numerically equivalent to 995, which is numerically equivalent to Marcus Messiah Garvey when you write it in Hebrew. I'm going to read that again. Because that is heavy.
Damn.
As hell.
Damn.
In the book of Judges, there were several messianic type figures or judges who would deliver the people from the hand of their oppressors and empower them with words of spiritual liberation. Marcus Garvey was certainly such a person in our era. In fact, The phrase in the book of Judges, chapter 2, verse 18, which says, God raised them up judges and was with the judge, is numerically equivalent to 995, which is numerically equivalent to Marcus Messiah Garvey when you write it and spell it in Hebrew. Also, Garvey's very famous saying, one God, one aim, one destiny, which in Hebrew is Echad Elohim, Echad Metorah, Echad Mazal. That has a numerical equivalency of 456, which is numerically equivalent to Le Moshiach, which in Hebrew means of the Messiah or for the Messiah. Lastly, the phrase notorious Negro agitator, which J. Edgar Hoover himself referred to Marcus Garvey as, has a numerical equivalency of 1397, which is numerically equivalent to the phrase, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until the coming of Shiloh. I swear to God, I want to stop the mic right now.
Oh my gosh, boom. I bomb it for, boom. Did y'all hear that? And it's deep because you know what verse that reminds me of? What you said, that the first thing that came up was Shemot chapter 1, verse 9 to 10. Can I read that?
Yes, yes, sir.
It goes with what you saying.
Yes,
and he
sir.
said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Yisrael are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them. At least they multiply. And it come to pass that when they're falling out any war, they join also into our enemies and fight against us. And so get them up out of the land. So I'm hearing all that, right? So then I got this piece called Racial Matters, the FBI secret files on Black America, 1960 to 1972, page 282. And by the way, fuck you, William O'Neill. I don't give a damn, you dead and you can't hear me. You rotten hell for you what you did to Fred Hampton, nigga. This is what's going down. Matter of fact, one of the school teachers just came. You can have a seat, sister. Now, hold on for 1 second. Just letting that come through. Okay. Yeah, okay. Getting back. Can you hear me, Zion?
That's right.
All right. Check this out. The FBI also worked to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah, someone who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. Malcolm X had been the more likely candidate, but his assassination removed that threat. King could be a real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, nonviolence, embrace Black nationalism. Today we call it Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. King was already a Messiah, someone who needed to be taken off this pedestal. The subsequent confusion among the Negro people and the emotional reaction that will set in would provide opportunities for the FBI. King's collapse would be followed by ridiculous developments, leaving the Negroes without a national leader of significantly compelling personality to steer them in the proper direction. The Messiah for his people, his own personal qualities, notwithstanding U.S. Army Domestic Intelligence Officer Mayor General William Yarbury description of Dr. Martin Luther King and Army spy on Blacks for generations, Memphis Commercial Appeal, March 21st, 1993. Come on, man. That was hard what you did, man. That was crazy. And what you saying, what's deep about, I got to make something clear. I got to say this, Zion. I'm tired of y'all inboxing me, talking about, yeah, he a Satan worshiper, talking about you, Zion. Yeah, he followed the Kabbalah, he do this, that, the third. Listen, man, anybody that study and understand any type of form of esoteric reality within the subject at hand, know in all societies, you had the adapt. We're not talking masonry. And even if we were, we got to understand the origin of things before we talk. What I'm saying is this. The adapt always were the seers. Remember, before we had prophets, did we not? Zion had seers.
That's right.
Okay. So there was always those that were in the midst that had certain higher degrees of understanding and thought when it came to spiritual development within the construct of the socialism of the nation. That being said, Zion, out of every gematria master that I've researched and studied, and I've been in this culture for 30 plus years, Zion Lexx, Chief Abdiel Ben Levi, from what I've seen, nobody has ever broke down, and I would want you to, if you can, to expound on it, Deuteronomy 28:68, the way that you have mathematically expounded on it by the way of Hebrew gematria. That alone, because everything is patterned after mathematics. And if we're dealing with mathematics, then we're dealing in equations, correct?
That's a fact.
Is this the build level that we're talking about? Even when you're dealing with Medunetta, the reason why I'm saying y'all not dealing with it, because these are signs and symbols of primordial man. They were images that conveyed a thought, a story, a thought. But if the mathematic equation isn't there, like in Hebrew, our numbers is also our symbols or letters, correct? Zion, what you just said, can you real fast break down Deuteronomy 28:68 by the way of the Hebrew gematria, because this has been asked of me 17 times in my inbox for you to break this down. They want to hear you break it down.
All
You
right.
know what I'm saying? Because it's in your book, which I got, but they want to hear you and align it with what you saying. And watch this. I ain't going to say that. Watch this. Watch this, y'all.
All right. I'm going to definitely do that. And what I want everybody to do, because it's very important that speakers are good. You know, somebody speaking is good. A teacher is great. But I always say this to everybody that takes classes with me. If you're not fact checking your teacher, you're a robot. I'm going to say it again. If you're not fact checking your teacher, you're a robot. So I'm going to ask everybody to first do this. Go online and pull up, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Let me share my screen so y'all can see. I'm going to show y'all how y'all can fact check what I'm saying live. Remember, until you fact check your teacher, you a robot and their words are questionable. But if you fact checking them as they teaching, then you're not a robot and their words are not questionable because they're confirming it before your eyes. And that's why you co-sign it. So watch this. I'm going to type in Hebrew gematria chart to show y'all how y'all could fact check what I'm saying. So these are the Hebrew letters, y'all. These are the Hebrew letters. All right. These are the Hebrew letters. Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3. Every single letter in the Hebrew alphabet also functions as a number. Every single letter in the Hebrew alphabet also functions as a number. The word for father in Hebrew is Av, and that's spelled Aleph Bet, which is 1 plus 2, which is 3. The word for mother in Hebrew is Ima or Aim, and that's spelled Aleph Mem, which is 41. So the word for mother in Hebrew is 41, and the word for father is 3. 41 plus 3 is 44. Why would that be significant? Because when mother and father come together, what do they bring? Children. So the Hebrew word for child is Yeled, and that's spelled Yod, Lamed, Dalet, or 1034, which is 44. So the combined numerical equivalency of mother and father in Hebrew equals the Hebrew word for child, yeled, because what mother and father come together to do is to create progeny in the world, children. So in Hebraic thought or in Hebraic science, words that have the same numerical equivalency are sharing the same ideas and fundamental concepts on a more esoteric level. Having said that, brace yourself for this. I'm gonna take y'all into my personal notes. I don't always do that, but I'm gonna do it for y'all. This is my personal notes. I have something that I saved, or I have saved in my emails that goes into all of my personal notes on a lot of different topics in the Bible, but mainly having to do with gematria. But watch this.
This is deep.
Oh, watch this, Mighty Hebrew. You might like this. Let me blow it up more so everybody think you might like this. Watch this. All right. The numerical equivalence of Nimrod in Hebrew is 294. That's the same numerical equivalence of when you spell Osiris. So I'm proving to you, even through gematria, that Nimrod look at it, Mighty Hebrew.
Right.
And look at the letters. This is why I'm saying.
You said Nimrod was a what?
Nimrod is numerically equivalent to 294. You have the letter Dalet, which is 4, Resh, which is 200, Mem, which is 40, and Nun, which is 50. Together, that's 294. The word or name Osiris, when you write it out in Hebrew, is spelled Aleph, Wav, Zayin, Yod, Resh, Yod, Samek.
Okay.
And that's also numerically equivalent to 294.
Uh-huh.
But I ain't done. I'm just getting warmed up.
Right. And and basically when you say Nimrod and Narmer, right? And you know how in the scripture in Bereshit chapter 10 it says that Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Yes.
In the Ivrit, I looked up that word before, it's not even there. The Hebrew word is against. It's the word against.
Yes, the Hebrew word is against. That's right.
Right, against Yah, not for Yah, but against Yah.
That's right.
But go ahead, Zion.
That's right. Now watch this. This is showing you gematria is Hebraic science, right? It's a more esoteric way of uncovering deeper information in our scriptures or in the Tanakh. And through the method or usage of gematria, I can show you that Nimrod is one and the same person with Narmer as well as Osiris. Because remember, Narmer, after he died, was worshipped as the god Asar, which comes into Greek as Osiris. So I'm showing you right now that Nimrod has a numerical equivalency that equals the name Osiris when you write out in Hebrew. But it gets more interesting, Mighty Hebrew. Watch this. Because I'm going to show you the Narmer palette when you write out in Hebrew. I never brought this out before, but I'm doing it just for you. When you write the Narmer palette in Hebrew, the Narmer palette, and I have the name here, Narmer Luach HaZevaim palette. Narmer Luach HaZevaim. That has a numerical equivalency of 751. Which is the numerical equivalency of, listen to this, Mighty Hebrew, fathered Nimrod. You hearing that?
Cain, I'm right here. I'm hearing it.
It's numerically equivalent to the term he fathered Nimrod.
Cain.
Now watch this. Oh, you might like this.
That's crazy.
In Genesis 15:4, the numerical equivalency of the phrase, afterwards they shall come out with great wealth. Remember God's vision to Abraham that we would be going into a land?
Okay.
Right? Well, the phrase in Hebrew they shall come out with great wealth. That's numerically equivalent to the words America and Egypt when you write it out in Hebrew, 742.
Damn.
Now watch this. In Genesis 40 and 50, Joseph was said to be stolen away from the land of the Hebrews. Everybody go to
Okay.
Genesis chapter 40, verse 15. The Bible says in that verse that Joseph was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews. Well, that phrase in Hebrew, stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, is numerically equivalent to 1227, which is equivalent to the phrase Sakar Avadim HaTransatlantit, the transatlantic slave trade.
Damn.
I got more. Hold on. I got more.
Nice bookie. That's hard.
In Deuteronomy 28 and 49, God says that the people who would enslave us would be a people whose symbol is the eagle. And he said that their tongue we won't understand, right?
Okay.
Well, that phrase in Hebrew, whose tongue you shall not understand, is numerical equivalent to 1227, which is the numerical equivalency of Sakar Avadim HaTransatlantit, the transatlantic slave trade when you write it out in Hebrew.
Damn. That's crazy.
In Deuteronomy 28:68, remember, the first slave ship that brought our ancestors to America is known as the good ship Jesus, right?
Okay.
Well, the way to say good ship Jesus in Hebrew is Yeshua Sefina Tova. Yeshua Sefina Tova. Yeshua Sefina Tova, the good ship Jesus, mighty Hebrew, is numerically equivalent to 613. The ship that brought us to the Americas is called the good ship Jesus. When you write that in Hebrew, that's Yeshua Sefina Tova, and that's numerical equivalent to 613. Now remember, the Bible says we came into this captivity because we didn't keep the 613 laws of the Torah. So the first ship that brought us here, the name of it has a numerical equivalency of 613. Sefina Yeshua Tova, the good ship Jesus.
Damn. That's crazy because Yeshua means salvation.
That's right. I mean, there's more that I could bring out, but I'm trying to save it for another book. Go ahead, man.
Some people might think you're talking about JC.
Right. Because they don't realize, people don't pay attention, mighty Hebrew. Remember, even listening is an art, right?
Okay.
The slave ship that brought us here was named after the man whose religion would help to enslave us. Because remember, Christianity, under the guise of white Jesus, helped to enslave Black Americans and Black Caribbean. So the slave ship, the first one that brought us here, was named the good ship Jesus. And in Hebrew, that's Yeshua Sefina Tova, which again has a numerical equivalency of 613. Heavy, heavy work.
Real heavy. Real heavy. That was crazy.
Please introduce your teachers, mighty Hebrew.
Absolutely. We have right here one of the major students here. I said students, teachers, instructors. We have here Sister Amalia Yisrael. She can tell you everything that's going on here that we have known as the Prince Asiel International Academy. It's very imperative that, we reach to our women on a level where so they take the power to define and re-instruct to our youth, because the first teachers are, in fact, the sisters to the children, which in turn they become adults. So we have Sister Amalia here. Explain, what's going on at the school, the curriculum, everything.
Shalom, family. Thank you for having me on.
Can you hear her?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
So at the academy, right now we're on summer break, so all the kids are off. We've got a couple of students that do summer school. They do some accounting classes that they decided that they chose to do. But when school is in session, the kids have a ginormous curriculum. We teach the students everything from the basic math, English, science, history, to home economics. The kids learn to cook. They learn to agriculture. We do a lot of hands-on with our science and everything. We take a lot of our field trips and take our class outside of the school and do a lot of in-person and hands-on. We did a couple of projects in our science class with tectonic plates. So we took the children to an oasis and showed them an underground cave that was part of a tectonic plate. So the kids got to feel the water was warm and things like that. So they get first view of a lot of their curriculum, which keeps them very engaged and active with their schoolwork. Their curriculum is from, they do 3 classes a day, and it's almost all day. The kids go to school 7 days a week. On Shabbat, they do have class with print, and that's their school for Saturdays. And then the rest of the time, it's just whatever classes that they have for that particular day. We've been learning Swahili and getting involved with the locals, being here in Africa, and they've been teaching us as well as the class itself. So it's been really exciting.
That's powerful. Let me ask you a question. In your studies, have you found any words that are Swahili that are related to any Hebrew words?
Yeah, I am. Yup. Here's one. The way you say queen in Swahili is malaki. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Okay, Malaka. In our language, it's Malakia, but Malaka is how you say queen in Swahili. And then what I didn't know, you also have what they call ancient Swahili. But the locals on the ground, like Professor Halili, he said what you call ancient Swahili is really ancient Hebrew. So Malaka is queen in Swahili and Kiswahili. And queen in Hebrew is Malakia. So you see the similarity. Another thing I've seen is when they say father in Kiswahili, it's Baba. Well, in Hebrew, right, Baba, you hear Abba. In
That's
Hebrew, there's Abba. Then I see that they call sister Baba. Now I know in Ivri, aunt or a female that's respected as a big sister or an aunt is known as Doda.
And that's the Hebrew.
Right. And then I also seen, it's so much. I give you one more. It's a lot. I also seen when you say mother in Hebrew, it's Ima. Or in some ancient Hebrew circles, they say Amma or Amma. Well, and in Swahili, but also and also in the United States, in certain parts of the United States, we say mama. Well, in Kiswahili, mother, you say mama.
That's a fact.
You say mama. You feel me? Now, when you say things like mama, you got to remember that Kiswahili of today is a language of trade. So it's a conglomerate of English, German, Portuguese, Spanish, certain Bantu speaking phrases and words Arabic. You feel what I'm saying? Because in this area where we're located at, the Arabs had what was called the East African slave trade. And then naturally you had the West African slave trade. What the leaders down here say is that originally Israelites that is known by the way of the Bantu expansion came from the Levant to East Africa and then to West Africa. That's what they're saying. And they're saying that this is why you have that connection with the Igbo, the Fulanti, the Fanti, etc. in West Africa, that Bantu connection with the East Africans, that of Bantu influence and persuasion. And I'm telling you, Zion, I'm telling you for a fact, when you come over here, the sister will tell you, they don't call themselves Africans over here. They don't. They go by the name of the tribes, and they can tell you who's Shemitic, who's Hamitic, who's like this tribe, that tribe. They can look at your facial structure.
That's a fact.
They determine tribes by the way of characteristics of people and their phenol structure.
That's a fact.
This is how they determine. Like they looked at me, they knew for a fact. I never told them I went to African ancestry and my DNA took me back to the Igbo of Nigeria. That right there was like a body blow for cats that be trying to say that Hebrews scared to take a DNA test. Man, I've been took a DNA test long before them dudes was even talking about DNA. Go to old 2009 videos with Netta. I was already taking DNA tests and all that back in 2009. And these cats is talking about DNA, and then again in 2013 with African ancestry, which is in Silver Springs, Maryland. And they take you back to certain particular tribes, but what they don't tell you, they only take less than 1% of your DNA. So that's like a needle in a haystack. Come on, man, they playing a lot of games. But it only tells you that you was connected to it or had certain type of relations with a Pacific tribe. In that case, it was Igbo. They send you back a certificate letting you know a disc of the Igbos and things of that nature. But the point that we're saying here is that it's just considerable amounts of evidence suggesting that there was, in fact, a Hebrew presence amongst the Bantu expansion. Even if somebody wants to say within the Bantu expansion that there were other tribes that may not have been Hebrews that were a part of that Bantu expansion. Okay, give or take, that's fine. But it still shows a Hebrew element in the midst of that. So to say all that is, would it be wrong for segments of the African-American community, segments of the Caribbean islander communities to say that they're Israelites? Because you're acting like the possibility don't exist when in fact we have evidences, what I'm saying, of this what you're asking. The language, you can clearly see that key Swahili, the root of it is Hebrew. That is a fact. The root of it is Hebrew. We're over here. So, what you say,
amazing.
Zion, you got another question for the sister?
Amazing.
You got a question for the sister?
Yeah, I'll ask you one more question. So, how invasive are your courses for children? There are going to be a lot of people that are going to be inquiring. Anybody that comes my way, I'm going to forward them to you. But just talk to them about some of the different levels of education. When you say you take children, give us the age range and go into some of the curriculum that you have for them.
So every age group has their own individual age curriculum. So it's just like a regular school. We're just doing it from home. We have assignments for each grade level. So we start at preschool. Our youngest student is 1 year old. Our oldest student at the present moment is 14. And each one of them, when it's our math day, then we have 2 teachers in the classroom at one time, and whatever that age group is being taught, it's one teacher, another teacher handle another age group, and we kind of bounce back to each other. So it's more of a teacher and co-teacher work. So it's not just all on one teacher at the moment. We are working to get a lot of our work put online as well. So that way we would be able to share the adventure and do like live videos with the students online as we do the field trips.
We have done a few of them already. That's on Facebook.
We've done a pretty decent amount of field trips at the moment.
And we got video on Facebook too.
And we take all ages. The 1-year-old does go with us on all of the field trips. He has experienced going to the hot springs and the oasis. We've gone to the Kilimanjaro waterfalls. We've visited one of the lost tribes of Kilimanjaro and done. We've made coffee with them, and they went through the entire process of how they cultivate their coffee beans and then get it to make coffee.
Right, and this Pacific tribe they visit, they have a story about them making coffee beans, coming traveling from the Levant to Kilimanjaro, and every time you go up there, it's a part of the ritual when you go buy coffee. We have it on Facebook. You can see it, and these brothers and sisters know for a fact that they're Hebrews, and they greet you with shalom. If you say they greet you, they say peace in Swahili. There's different ways, but one of the ways is also shalom, shalama. Shalom, shaloma, shaloma, shaloma. Yep, they say that too.
It's very amazing. The tribes there, they welcome us to the community, especially when they know that it's for the children. They are very hands-on and wanting to get their stories out as well. So we get a lot of backstories with our travels, and we learn so much about the villagers that are there in the different tribes. And
absolutely.
The kids love it.
Absolutely.
They've learned more in the last couple months since we've opened the school, since they've done in the last 2 years in the States.
Absolutely. And the living conditions out here are very, very beautiful.
They're
very
amazing.
Beautiful. You can really live like a king or a queen out here. Mm-hmm. If you have, basic business skills, the objective is not to come out here to, get a job. The objective is to take your skills, build, and also help bring the economy up where you're at. So in turn, in the future, the people, the locals, and the Tanzanian government or any type of government that you're within in the continent will see the achievements that you brought forth, and in turn, they can adopt, certain elements of, the Torah. Excuse me, Salika, the Torah. So it's very important for us to be an example in the location that we at. And we return back from education to dedication. And what I will say, these teachers they're not like Sister Amalia is not just a teacher. She also has other higher positions, than just a teacher. And what I will tell you, we're blessed to have our own children there as well as few locals. And then we have other families that have also, that's a real major thing, that there are other families that have also repatriated based on the movement that we're doing. In turn, we had to arrange like certain areas where they can stay, help them to find housing. We also been on positive rescue missions. If you want to speak a little bit about that briefly, you don't got to get deep, but just briefly what we do at times.
Mighty Hebrew, drop your Cash App. Somebody asked, does Mighty Hebrew have a Cash App? Drop your Cash App.
Absolutely. You can go to Cash App, which is the $ Princess. Princess, the letter P is capitalized. Princess, next to it, Etana. Capital E, lowercase I, T-A-N-A. That's Princess Etana. Capital P, rest princess in lowercase, no separation, Etana, capital E, lowercase I, T, A, N, A. Princess Etana with the dollar sign.